Welcome to another exciting edition of the Colin Nation radio show. I'm broadcasting here from Liberia, West Africa, and having a good time so far. This has been a great trip. Got a lot of stuff done, not as much as I did last year, but hey, it is what it is, But I had a really good time so far. I'll be back next weekend in the stateside. God's willing, I'll be back next weekend. I'll be back next Friday, back in the States. Hopefully next Friday night I'll be doing a show from my home in Virginia. Well, anyway, tonight we have a good topic, right? Because this topic has been bothering me because I'm seeing in many ways this identity crisis getting worse. What it is I think a lot of people, we have never been taught. Some people have been taught, no matter how little that people did or whatever like that, they're just proud of what they are. No matter what people did, you can go to them and say, your people ain't shit. They never built none of this. Like, yeah, but that's still our culture. That's still land. That's what happens when you are a landless people. When you are a landless people, right, you have nothing, you have no space. You have no space. You say, okay, we did nothing but see these people in these few thousand square miles. We all did nothing together. And guess what? In the future, we'll probably never do nothing together, but at least we're together. At least we're happy. If you don't like it, you don't have to be around us, right? That's fair. When you basically are in a situation where you're a minority group, right? And you're the other, right? You always got to basically walk around trying to prove yourself. Like you go out of your way to show people that you're different from what they expect from you. You got to have some sort of agency about you. Like, oh yeah, like Indians develop a reputation for hard work and business entrepreneur and tech and everything like that. So basically, the Chinese basically at one time was considered coolies. The Chinese were considered. There used to be an old saying called "You don't have a Chinaman's chance." That means the Chinese were always historically looked at as losers in history, simpletons, losers. But now look at them; they built themselves up. The black man in America, the reason why we're suffering from identity crisis is because we're in a conundrum, right? Whereas the dominant society in America, the only way they accept us is the fact that we're this harmless group of people that they have to take care of and they feel sorry for. So therefore, when we act that role, we have no ability to change our situation. That's what we're frustrated about. We see these problems in our so-called community, right? And we can do nothing about it. We feel like we're helpless, And so therefore, you got people out here, like the usual suspects, like Audrey, the other people that are homeless, that are going around the world, sucking off the resources of other countries and everything like that. We don't want to be that. So therefore, the easiest thing to do, a lot of black people, is to deny slavery ever happened and try to fit along with white people in America and just be good Americans. That's the thing. What's going on, Dark Beagle? So this is what we have right now in America. This is where the identity crisis come from. People do not want to accept the reality of what happened to our ancestors. It's just simple. It's painful. I get it. When you see they'll say, you got people out here now, like I was just on Diane's show, prove that the slavery happened. Negro, it happened. I mean, no matter how painful that is, you guys, you have the Jamaica. Jamaica. My house in Jamaica. Oh, Lord. You got indoor plumbing thing? I guarantee you don't have indoor plumbing, Oh, Lord. So anyway, basically, it's very painful. Our history is very painful. No other people in human history has ever gone through where we are. And unjustly, it was unjust. But the whole world, let me tell you something how the world works, right? This is why I'm unapologetically about what I'm about to do. I don't give a damn who does not like it. I believe in an Afghanistan. I don't care who doesn't like it. I don't care who disagrees with it. I don't care. I'll preach to the mountaintops. That's what I believe Black America should have, And I know nobody wants to see that happen because people naturally, when you're down or you're losing, people want to kick you. People are not going to be like this. That's why I admire about Israel. Israel, the whole world turned its back on the Jews and never did anything, whatever like that. So they took matters in their own hand, got their own state, and basically did what the hell they got to do, And I respect them for that. Why? Because they took matters into their own hands and did. They understood that no one's going to give a damn about you. No one gives a damn about the Holocaust. No one gives a damn about what happened. What happened is Black people in America were sitting here in America looking for pity and sympathy, And the sympathy never came. Not only do we don't get sympathy from white people, we don't get sympathy from Africans. They don't care about what happened to us in the transatlantic slave trade. That's not their business. They don't care about it. Don't even know about it. So therefore, we went through this horror of the transatlantic slave trade, right? It seems like no one basically respects us as our history and stuff like that. It's nothing to be proud of, except for the fact that we can point to our success in America. And the fact that we're the only middle class, upper middle class Black people in the world. We produce most of the world's millionaires, Black millionaires and billionaires and stuff like that. So we have a lot to be proud of with our accomplishments and everything like that. But the basic fact is most people do not see us as a sovereign people. They think that everything we do in America is because of white America. And a lot of us believe that too. We believe that we have no history beyond white America and white America. That's why people are going around talking about, I'm American. You got people out here talking about they discovered America before the white man. They love America so much. That love of America is just really a hatred of yourself. It's just hatred of Africa. It's one thing to love America, but why do you got to hate your ancestral homeland? Why you got to deny that your ancestors came from the transatlantic slave trade? What do you think the world's going to be like? Okay, you didn't slavery. We're going to treat you better now that you told us that you were already here and you were a Chickasaw Indian of Olmec background and all this kind of stupid stuff and everything like that. The world's going to change a opinion of you by you changing your identity. It don't work like that. The world knows how you got here. The world knows that you're a victim of the transatlantic slave trade. You came to America where you learned how to eat fried chicken, watermelon, and you know how to eat pig's feet and everything like that. And, you go down to the Gullah Geechee area and whatnot, that they know who you are. And then you got the Harlem Renaissance, you got Detroit, Motown, and everything. They know who you are. You know where you came from. They know the rhythms of jazz and blues and all that is rooted in your African roots and heritage and everything. They know your Afro sheen that you have when not because you are Native American. When the only people with Afros are Black people, Africans, which you are, That's why you are the Black African American is nothing but an African, right? An African American form. That's all you are. So therefore, we're going to talk about that tonight with the identity crisis. Why do people want to get out of being Black? I could probably make $1 million a day, right? If I gave people a get out of Black card, right? Charge Negroes like $500. But $500, you could change your identity one night. You could change your history and everything like that and get a new history. Man, I'd be rich overnight. There'd be some Negroes be like running for the border, man. I got to get out of here, man. Hey, this being Black is just too tough, man, They see this formidable white man, They see this white man. He projects his power. His women project their beauty and sophistication and everything like that. And every time you see a Black person or Black country, they're always poor, dirty, everything. So nobody wants to be identified with Africa, which we call so. It is what it is, but we have to change the image of Africa. We have to change the image of us, our relationship with Africa. I'm in Africa right now, because I do believe this continent has a future, with us, and I believe this is the only way forward, right, to gain ourselves. I already knew all this stuff. I said, we don't basically gain some sort of autonomy outside of white America and everything like that. The self-hate is going to continue because if America is all you know, naturally you're going to want to be accommodate and get along. It's natural, you know. You don't want to sit in America talking about. If so, you could convince yourself that slavery never happened, then you could get along with white America. But that's all it's about. It's all about forgiving the white man. Nearer thy God to thee. The nearer you are to the white man, the better off you are. I always knew there was Uncle Tom Negroes who thought like that, right? But I never knew there'll be people like Tariq Nasheed talking about we got it popping in America, and we're foundational Black Americans. We were here before the white man. Like this. So the bottom line, how long am I in Liberia? I'm in Liberia for a month. It basically, I just got my friggin', we have indoor plumbing in Liberia. We're civilized over here. You know, our ancestors built a civilized country, you know. I just got my house, and the house is almost done over here and whatnot. So now when I come to Liberia, you know, I'm going to enjoy it for like a week. So I come here next year, I could probably stay longer, like 2 or 3 months. And all I need now is a car. And once I get my car over here, I can stay for longer. I could probably stay 4 or 5 months over here. You know, this is where I want to be. You know, this is where I want to be. I want to make my money in America. There's no doubt about that. You know, make all the money I can in America and spend my time in Africa. That's what I want to be. I'm about this life. You know, I'm about this Black nationalist life. You know, so this is what we're talking about tonight. You know, and other people, hey, look, this life don't suit you. Hey, that's fine too, man. You know, I still love you to say it. You know, but this is the life I chose. This is what I want to be part of. I want to be a part of the future of a continent, you know. And so, granted, all the stuff that great things that America have, and I get that, you know, I'm grateful to have a business in America and stuff like that. But it's nothing like being free, you know. Yeah, there's plenty of opportunities in everything, mining everything like that. If you're serious, there's opportunities in mining everything, you know. Somebody said, I remember, there's no ACS. Let me tell you something. I guess Samson is no, I don't eat bushmeat though. We don't eat bushmeat in Liberia, you know. Liberia is one of the few civilized countries in West Africa. Our ancestors built this place, you know. They were the cream of the crop of Black America and the Caribbean that came here and built this place. You could see it, you know, by the way the indigenous people act, you know. We rubbed off on them. Anyway, somebody says, remember ACS? Let me tell you something about the ACS. It was just a organization that people gave way too much credit for, you know? Credit for that. Oh, the ACS didn't do shit. They were a bunch of incompetent idiots, right? And they, after 25 years of mismanagement, the Liberians said, yo, y'all got to go. And they declared themselves an independent republic, you know? The ACS was credited for starting this thing off and stuff like that, but the bottom line is they couldn't manage Black people, Africa, and stuff like that. A lot of them died because of disease over here and stuff like that, so they had to leave. You know, ACS is given way too much credit for the forming of Liberia, but they overlooked people like Joseph Jacobs Roberts, the Draytons. They overlooked people like I am an African, bro. You know, what the hell am I? You know. I'm not eating bushmeat burgers or just shut up, you know. Look, they overlook people like Hillary Teague, Randolph Cooper, Elijah Johnson, who was a badass warrior from 1814 war and whatnot. He was a badass. All the founding fathers of Liberia, these were Black men, you know. These are the people that got together and said, look, let's become a people. Let's become a republic. Let's become a nation, you know. So those are people like that. The ACS is irrelevant in history. But ACS is just something that white people like to give themselves credit for. You know, if you look at the hard work it took to build this country, the stone buildings, the temples, and everything you see in Liberia is like unbelievable how they built this 200 years ago. Well, I don't know, Rich. I don't know who you are, whatnot, you know. But the thing is, if you join the BAIO organization, the Black, or email me, I'll introduce you to the BAIO or social network, and you can connect with people in there. You know, so I don't recommend any business, whatever like that. But people link up. We have a lot of people. Matter of fact, I'm meeting a guy Saturday a mining guy. This guy does all kinds of mining, gold mining, diamond mining, everything. There's a lot of wealth here as far as diamonds and gold and stuff like that. You know, it just takes capital to invest in and build it. When you can make a lot of money here. You know, the lands, which we call my brother works for the Lands and Mines Commission. You got to get a certificate to mine and stuff like that. It's easy to do. You know, you can get the right people, get your mining permit. You know, if you got something to mine and stuff like that. Good. Diamond mining is like really, really lucrative here. A lot of diamonds here. It's unreal. You know, stuff like that. But I'm not here to sell Liberia. You got to take it with your own thing, you know. Yeah, there's precious metal, but like I said, what I like to do is see it really organized. All I see is I see a lot of people. They do a little bit of diamond, they make some money and they bounce. Everybody just makes some money. You know, I want to see long-term gold mining and gold refining, diamond cutting. If somebody get into the jewelry industry and do it from A to Z, that's what I would like to see. You know, I mean, it's nothing to go and freaking get a permit and start mining diamonds and shipping them out of the country when not for some money. When anybody can do that, people do that every day here. You know, I want to see a real diamond industry develop in this country. You know, that's what I want to see. And I want to see Black people from America get involved in that, you know, because we got the technology and the expertise and the time and the money to do that. You know, that's what I like to see. I'm sick of seeing the same old, same old. You know, there's all kinds of people involved in diamond mining and stuff like that, but I don't like what I see, you know. But so it is what it is. But back to our topic tonight. Pressure, identity crisis, right? If you basically tell somebody, right, like I said, I look years ago, man, I was on my way. 7 years ago, I launched the idea of an Afghanistan. I wrote it up, even though Wikipedia rejected my thing, because I said, what do you call an African American homeland? What do you call African American homeland, province, territory that's run by African Americans in the majority and some sort of autonomy and self-determination territory? What do you call that? Look it up. No such thing exists. You think that's crazy? After all the 400 years of hell, that term doesn't even exist. So I said, you know something? I'm going to create the term. I call a homeland for African Americans who believe we should be a people and a nation. And no, it's not America, bro. There's no such place called America. You know, that's all in your mind. There's no such place called America. This is called the United States, and we don't control any of them. When I say Afghanistan, I mean my people, African Americans, you know, my people, Black America, are the majority. We're the ones calling the shots. We're the ones that have the authority. I don't accept anything that basically has another race of people making laws and rules over me. Understand that? You know? So the bottom line is this. So I created the term the Afghanistan. Nobody else did. Baruti didn't do that. I did. And I said, I'm a breathe, and I breathe life into this term. It means a homeland, a freedom for the African American slave descendant in America. You know, where we could practice everything else. There's like 180 countries. Where do these countries go? People said, we the people want to become a people. They form a go. Every group of people on earth have a right to be a nation. Everybody. So don't give me that crap, you know. That's why there's self-hating people. There's self-hatings in the African denial. And there's also people who want to be Black America, African American denial, right? I'm not going to stop being African American to be a fucking Yoruba or to be a Hausa or be an Igbo, you know? I'm not going to stop being that to be a Congolese, even though my ancestors from the Congo. I am not Congolese anymore. I'm African American. This is my people. This is my experience. This is my story. You know? I try to tell people that this is my story. And that's one of the pillars of a nation, right? People have to have a common theme, a common story, you know? Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Chuko. Your Igbo as fuck. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, man. I'm sorry, really, really sorry to hear that, man. If I could do something, Chuko, let me know. You know? Of course, we're gonna have a military. We're gonna have all that. Everything that is sovereign people that's serious about is independence. We're gonna have we're gonna have a penal system. We're gonna have a prison system. We're gonna have everything. We're gonna have all things that many Negroes don't like. Yeah, are we gonna have courts? Yes. Are we gonna have prisons? Yes. Are we gonna have laws? Yes. It's very strict laws. Our laws are gonna be the strictest on the friggin' planet because we are not gonna take any chance that a failure is not an option. Of course, we have to protect ourselves. We're not. I'm glad you think of African American as a Black European. We're not Black Europeans. We're Africans. We're Africans who basically have an Americanized culture. That's all. But we're still Africans. We haven't changed. Our DNA is mostly African. And so bottom line is just our culture and our soul is still African. Doesn't matter what we talk like and stuff like that. We're still Black Africans. So Truco asks you stupid questions. What is a Black Hebrew? Where's a fucking Black Hebrew? It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a Black Hebrew. All those people are part of the identity process. The Black Hebrews believe Israel is their homeland. Chico, you understand that? So therefore, they have no issue, no wanting to be within Afghanistan. They believe that the Black Hebrew Israelites are in Israel, state of Israel right now. Let them go to Israel. If that's what makes you happy, look, I'm like this, man. Whatever gets you off, whatever suits you, both fine. Just like people who pray to Mecca. If Mecca is your freaking homeland, go to fucking Mecca. Just be done with you. If you think the Vatican is your place, and the Catholicism, go right ahead. If you believe in Ifa, whatever the hell that is, go right there. But if you believe in a Black African nation, a people of the transatlantic slave trade that came to America and the Caribbean and stuff like that, we should have a state that represents us, a government that represents us, the slave descendants, whatnot. Then you come to the African. You want to practice stupid Hebrew Israelite stuff? You want to practice Ifa? You want to practice voodoo and all stuff like that? Go to those places. This is that Black nationalist life. I'm about that Black nationalist life. I don't give a damn about all these other people. They mean nothing to me. I'm about that Black nationalist life. That's our standby. I just saw a new. I love these things. These at the Wakalar Lodge gave me one of those things that you put water in. Those things like it's like an iron thing you put water in. I love this thing. So I put some water in there and whatnot. Man, it feels so good, man. Friggin', friggin' drunk that thing in a second. I gotta go back in the room, get another bottle, and wife's gonna be like, "Man, what are you doing?" I never repeat this topic all the time. Aunt Nam, shut up. I've never done this. I haven't done this topic in months. No, I'm not getting drunk. I don't drink when I do my shows. Truco's an idiot. What's the language? Look, Black America is Black America. All that will be cited by. I got faith. My people will figure all that out. What's the currency? What's the culture? The culture is Black America. With the fusion of local African culture and everything like that. It's definitely gonna be a Black state. It's like Liberia is. Like Liberia is. They call the American Liberians the Congo people, right? But they made such an impression on the country that the native people are really just de facto Congo people themselves. Just like this. So it is what it is. I know our culture is dominant, so I have no doubt that our culture is going to survive, and our cultural identity, has to be preserved. I don't want to be a Chukwu, Igwe. Can't do that, I don't want to be an Ant Nam, I don't want to do that, I just love Black America. I love being Black African American. And I want to be in a country, a nation with my own beautiful people. That's what I want. Now, if you could agree with that, hey, we can rock. But if you believe in anything else, we cannot rock. I believe Black America, it's time for us to have a nation of our own. Your ID may be tied to Europe. I'm not. What do I got to do with Europe? Nothing. That's what I'm talking about. These identity crisis people, these people just show themselves up here, No, Liberia is now on Trump's list. What happened was the previous government of George Weah. Some of the people were selling passports and everything like that. To think you had a German guy, blonde hair and blue eyes, that had a freaking Liberian ECOWAS passport. There was people giving phony passports out in Liberia. I know firsthand about this, giving out phony passports in Liberia. And the bottom line is this: now the United States government is making the passport serious, right? Now the new government in Liberia is working to rectify this, but the previous government that was here, George Weah's government, things got lax and people were doing anything to make money. And you don't play with it like that because that's going to damage things. But I will say like this: what the United States want to do is restrict travel to Liberian officials, not the people. The average people should not be restricted because they're not doing anything wrong. Why punish a whole country for a friggin' bunch of... That's another thing what I don't understand about America, right? They say that these countries are not spending the money right. That's even her, Dr. O'Connor, somebody who I don't really agree with. She made a good point. She said the USAID money never went to the people. They got looted off by the governments and everything. Because why do you give money to these fucking thieving ass African governments? These savages that basically couldn't run a government. Basically, I'm dead serious. The average African leaders, right, is probably on the same level of a fifth grade person in a New York City school, about the same intellectual level, and you're going to give millions and billions of dollars to these people. And now, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to mismanagement. They're going to steal it. They're going to shave up. They don't understand every dime that they steal when that is accounted for, And so the whole system, look, I supported Donald Trump, right? I don't agree with, I just think if Black America was smart, he would we could have basically been the political arm of Africa to the United States government, say, look, slow down, Mr. Trump. We understand you got concerns and everything like that, but this is what you want to do. We dropped the ball. Black America dropped the ball because the last few years we've been on this Tariq Nasheed stuff whatnot. We turned our back on Africa. That's a problem. We got to rectify that, because I want to go full forwards at war with these people that are race traders in our community. All these fucking race traders got to go, so this is critical now. They're coming after Africa. I didn't see this the first time Donald Trump was in office, right? But they're really making a play for Africa or not, and that's putting us, like I said, that's going to be a conflict with us, us Black nationalists. That's going to be a conflict. The first term, he didn't care nothing about Africa or whatever like that, The Chinese are more black. Where does this guy come from? Who is this guy? He was a clown, man. What you call it? FB, you are a freaking clown, man. Jeez, whatever the Chinese built, right, is a loan, and if Africans got to pay that back, they put the Africans in debt. If the Africans would have built their own roads, right, what the hell do you need a Chinese to build a fucking road for? I don't get that. Why do you need a Chinese to build a fucking railway? Why do you need Chinese to build a hospital? What do you need the Chinese for? That's a whole freaking problem. We don't need the Chinese, We could have formed the African Development, but the Africans don't want to play ball. If they want to listen to College Genesis, right? We said, like, this could be a trade-off. We get land and we'll invest into an African development fund. Black America could have raised way more money than Chinese did. Chinese total investments in Africa is like $30 billion, not even that, right? Black America could raise easily $50 billion, easily. Oh, the bottom line is this, but we're not organized. We're not organized. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get Black America organized and get the right people who are capitalists, who are fundraisers and capitalists. But we can't go to a continent that's in chaos. That's the whole thing. Cannot invest in a continent. We can't invest in a continent. So far there's not been any country except for South Africa. South Africa was one country, right? But get this. Now South Africa picks a fight with Israel. Stupid. And then picks a fight with the United States. I'm like, are you fucking stupid? At a time where South Africa could have attracted billions of dollars and more Black Americans and diasporas going to South Africa. It could have been like this. But South Africa chose that they're Palestinian. What the hell do you see in Palestinians? I don't give a flying fuck about Palestine. It did not worth my time, you know? Well, the Palestinians, so the fuck what? There's people suffering all over the world. The hell we got to get involved with somebody else's shit. Now South Africa's out. The ambassador of South Africa got kicked out. South Africa is trying to bring Netanyahu to the ICC, the stupidest friggin' institution or racist institution, you know. And they thought that the ICC was going to indict Netanyahu, and they said no. The ICC is set up for. They actually said the ICC is basically. I'm not a Zionist, bro. I'm a realist. You know, if I got to take between the freaking Palestinians and the Israelis, I'm gonna side with the Israelis. I'm sorry. The Palestinians had Gaza. They were left with labs, factories, everything. Instead of building a civilization, Gaza is a beautiful territory. It was a beautiful territory. Instead of building a civilization there, and eventually proving that they can have statehood and everything, they chose to go to war. So the bottom line is, you say Palestine. What is your objective? What do you want? Destruction of Israel. So when your whole thing is, we want to basically destroy Israel, not to friggin' build ourselves up, not to get into technology, not to build a Gaza car automobile industry, not to build semiconductors and do all these things that I believe civilization requires. No, the Gaza not an open air prison. Gaza was basically a place. Let me show you something, Ant-Man, because you don't friggin' know. Let me show you something, Ant-Man. Gaza was a beautiful city that had everything in there. Free Palestine. Go over there and free them then. I'm sick of you fucking losers, man. You lose Palestine. You know? Free Palestine. Freedom from what? Freedom from what? What are you exactly going to do? They had the Gaza, they had the Golan Heights, they had all that stuff like that. They did nothing with it. Friggin' act a friggin' fool. I'm not supporting it. That's not my business and everything. I'm just saying, as far as Black people, we need to stay out of these people's fight. Let the Jews, whatever comes. If the Palestinians win, you know, that's on them. If the Jews win, that's on them. But that has nothing to do with us. What the hell are we involved in conflicts? The beauty of Palestine. Beauty. Palestine. Let's see. Let me show you something. The so-called prison, you know. Woo! Pop right up. The beauty of Palestine. Am I good or am I good? Now, Ant-Nam says the Palestine's an open prison. I beg to differ. Palestine's a fucking beautiful place. If these stupid Arabs didn't know how to manage the place, just be civilized and whatnot, they could have created a paradise for themselves. If you give me a chance to have a land and give Black America a chance to have a land, see what we do with it. You know, I don't feel sorry for anybody that got a land. I don't feel sorry for nobody that got a home country. Cry me a river, you know. If you're fucking in the UK like Ant-Nam or not and angry, I say on you. You should have your Black ass in Nigeria doing something, you know. I don't feel sorry for nobody that got a homeland. Black America, America's all we have. It is what Chuko says, 1 million Nigerians are probably. So 1 million Nigerians got $5 million. If they got that money, Chuko, why don't they help the friggin' poverty-stricken people in their country? Nigeria has the highest rate of poverty on the friggin' planet. Nigeria, the average worker in Nigeria makes $30 a month. If they got all that money to buy a fucking gold card, how come they can't friggin' fix their own economy? Why are they, if they got that money, why are they friggin' upset about the U.S. cutting off aid to them? Shut the hell up. I am sick and tired of African bullshit, you know? I'm in Africa right now. I'm just telling you, I'm sick and tired of your bullshit. Nigerians don't got no money. They're broke. You know, they're poor. It's a fucking poor country, please.
موطني موطني الجلال والجمال والسناء والبهاء في رباك في رباك والحياة والنجاة والهناء والرجاء في هواك في هواك هل أراك سالما منعما وغانما مكرما سالما منعما وغانما مكرما هل أراك في علاك تبلغ السماء تبلغ السماء.
I'll play something else. Gaza City. Now, this is a so-called prison. And something about. Gaza is like what you call Gaza basically is more developed than most African countries. Who cares what Mandela is? You know? Mandela's long and gone, you know. He aged in the time of the country. Yeah, but see, you see this right here, you know. Well, the bottom line is the Palestinians kidnap people, right? They declared war on Israel. They started something. They did the classic FAFO. That means you fuck around and you find out, you know, and then you fuck around and you find out, you know. Fuck around and you find out. So the Palestinians, they fucked around and they found out. As simple as that. It's like if you basically are poor, and then what gets me is the Palestinian Hamas, they're hiding behind human shields. They go into hospitals, they launch from hospitals, knowing that the Israelis care more about life than they do. So they be like this, okay, you know, we could use their own people as human shields. I'm sorry, I'm sick of that cowardly shit. And that's what I'm supposed to be supporting? No, I'm sorry, you know. That's why, bottom line, that's why South Africa, man, did a bad thing when they basically started the Palestinians, you know. You know what another thing is, black people? We got to stop looking at other people just because somebody calls themselves oppressed that we got to align with them. That doesn't work. We've said the same thing about Mexicans. Oh, they're oppressed or whatnot. Then they come over here, they get into power, and they start acting more white, more racist towards us than the white people ever did. Say they're the Chinese, everybody else. Even friggin' black people from other countries come over here and they act like they are all brand new with us and whatnot, you know. But we sitting there, oh, these poor oppressed people. We got to stop caring about everybody else but ourselves. That's what I'm telling Black America. Let's start caring about our fucking self first, you know? Yeah, it's not hard to believe. These people are nothing but animals, you know? You know what I'm saying? So look, I don't care what South Africa, because they still with Palestine, they are going to fall. It's not the same thing. Apartheid in South Africa is not the same thing. First of all, when they say apartheid in South Africa, it's been such lies about, you know? Apartheid just simply meant apart for development. In other words, Africans had a different culture, which we realize, right? That's why we were in Afghanistan, you know? We realized we had different culture than white people. We'll never be able to assimilate with them, whatever like that. We understood that. The early people of apartheid and a lot of Black people thought that, you know, Black people should build their own governments and all this stuff like this. That's what the apartheid government did. They formed 10 Black governments in the homelands. In other words, basically getting them ready for self-determination and stuff like that. Yeah, you may not disagree, but now you see that they had an election. A fake country called South Africa had a rainbow election and whatnot, which they knew the blacks were the majority were going to win just by pure numbers, by fiat. Now the whites are like, you know, the whole time they have all the power, the money and everything. How are you going to have all the money and power? The Black people have the political majority. The only people that benefited from post-apartheid is a few elite Black people. That's it, you know? Look, I'm like this, you know? You know, so I'm like this. Look, the white South Africans, I believe played their hand a little bit. And I'll say this, like I said on the show the other night about South Africa, right? The white South Africans have been trying to undermine the Black government for a long time. The Black government should have seen that, you know? They're the ones that are spreading propaganda about crime in South Africa, even though there was a lot of incompetence by the Black government. I agree with that. That combined with the fact that Black government ANC were incompetent, right? You put a lot of people who didn't know what the hell they were doing, and you try to govern a highly advanced civilization like South Africa, and being people basically one generation out of freaking bush. That didn't work, you know. That exacerbated by the fact that white people had a good international propaganda machine against the regime the whole time. So when the time came, you know, when the movement, the day finally comes when they said, look, what this has all been about 30 years after the apartheid government was dismantled, we're going to do a land expropriation act, whatever like that. The whites were well prepared for that. They gave them 30 years to regroup, and basically, so the fact that Black majority government is ineffectual, you know. What they should have did was when apartheid fell, they should have basically gotten allegiance from the South African white population. If they did not get an allegiance from the white South African population, they should have basically said, look, it's time for you people to go to Iran, go to Australia, go to the Netherlands, or you should call them on their bluff to create a Volksstaat, which is an Afrikaner folk homeland. But the thing about the Volksstaat is they wanted to have a homeland, but they wanted to continue using Black labor, you know? The issue was the ANC government said, if you want a Volksstaat, you cannot use Black labor. South African whites cannot survive without Black. So the Amrania was created with the idea that whites could live among themselves without using Black labor. They were doing their own dirty work and stuff like that. So the privileges of apartheid system did not exist in a Volksstaat or whatever like that, or Oranje, or whatever like that. But the people who initially wanted a Volksstaat wanted to continue using Black guest labor and stuff like that, exploiting the Black labor population, because that's the only reason why they could exist with a Black labor, you know? So I want to know how these people are going to survive in America. How these Afrikaners, they came to America, how they going to survive. We're going to give them a nice, right, warm welcome in America, you know? We're going to give them a right warm welcome. Oh, I just can't wait, you know? If I see some Afrikaners in my city or whatever like that, oh, we're going to make them feel right at home. We're going to give them a Black America warm welcome, you know? I'm going to form the Afrikaner Welcoming Committee, you know? And we'll have to do some things to them, you know? You let me know how we feel, you know? Should we help them? Yeah, help them with my foot up the ass, you know? Okay. If FB believes that I'm a special ed class, then why don't he come up here and debate me? No, since nobody can come up here and debate me, what does that tell you? If I'm an uneducated, whatever like that, why don't you come up here and debate me? Come up here and debate. No one could debate me up here like this. Well, I don't know what their says is, but I think Mr. Trump made a serious error, mistake, listening to Elon Musk and whatnot. That was the dumbest mistake. Probably the only thing he probably did wrong in his presidency so far. In South Africa, he didn't know all the facts. He was right about Palestine and stuff like that, but the facts on the ground and everything like that in South Africa, Afrikaners are not being persecuted. Why don't we take the attention to the Mozambicans, the Malawians, the Zimbabweans who are being slaughtered? That's genocide right there in South Africa. Those are the people that's being slaughtered in South Africa, not white Afrikaners. White Afrikaners have gotten good in South Africa. And the bottom line is this. Well, those of us who are Black African nationalists, I believe personally, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. If white Afrikaners want to come to America, that's fine with me, But when you live on the African continent, I believe the African continent belongs to Black people, I believe that Africa belongs to the Black man. That's what I believe. And that's going to be a conflict right there because white people, white America in Africa, no. No. In the Congo, no. I'm sorry. You don't go 400 years of being the cause of Africa's destruction, then come back over after 400 years and pretend like nothing happened. No, it don't work like that. And we're not going to let it happen like that. So everything else, I agree with Donald Trump. He wants to send these people out of El Salvador. He wants to do all the stuff like that with the borders. Whatever it takes to build America, he should stay out of Africa. I mean that. That's where I draw the line. Africa is our territory. He's coming on our territory. That's the problem I have with Donald Trump. So, and the African leaders who host him, whatever like that, there's going to be a price to pay. I assure you that. Like, I know Black South Africa and Black America is not in the same boat. The difference is Black South Africans are the majority in their home country, and all of that. Black South Africans never went through trauma or stuff like that. Only the Black South Africans who lived in proximity to white people, like lived in settlements like Soweto and Alexandria and places like that outside Johannesburg. The majority of Black South Africans lived in homelands, independent homelands called Bantustans. They lived in their home. They were citizens of their own homeland, so they never had the conflict with white people. So what do you talk about, Chuko? Black people in America had conflict with white people because we were lynched by them, hunted by them, killed by them, and everything. So it's not the same thing, So, Black South Africa didn't go through the trauma. They didn't go through trauma like we did. They didn't go through that trauma, So I don't know. So what gets me is, did Nigerians go through trauma? How is it that the Queen of England owns all your oil and the British Petroleum is polluting the Delta and they control everything in your country? And the bottom line is you guys got to go to the UK to freaking make a living and everything. But you talk about us having trauma. Oh, Lord, man. You guys can't even make a living in your own country. All that oil, and you guys are still fucking broke. You can't make a living in your own country. You can't raise a standard of living to the average Nigerian, but yet we going through trauma. Okay, look, the bottom line, Nigeria's now Trump says, okay. Not only that, they only deporting Nigerians left and right in this country, whatnot, So it's freaking hilarious. You guys crack me up, man. No, the richest Black people in the world living in America, No, David Stewart's the richest Black man in America, right? Nigerians, there's no way of quantifying Nigerians' wealth. How can you can't have a country where people are rich and the country has no middle class and is impoverished. Nigerians, when you add everything up in Nigeria, they really have nothing, They really have nothing. Well, trust me, we crunch the numbers and everything like that. Nigeria really has nothing. You know, they have a lot of like Forbes quality, but Forbes don't have any way of rectifying a thing like that. You could basically put up there, oh, he's worth like, there's no way of verifying it. Forbes had Oprah as a billionaire one time. Oprah's not worth $1 billion, you know? And say if Oprah was worth $1 billion, $2 billion, why is she doing why she had to sell OWN? It doesn't make it nothing in Ford magazine freaking makes any accurate sense. You know, people go by Forbes magazine. Like that's some scientifically accurate thing. There's no way you could quantify somebody as well. Just what people report. You know, they just go by what people report, you know. Okay, Nigeria, why come yeah, but the Naira is worth like what $8,000 for every dollar? Okay. Yeah, okay. Who cares? Who cares what Ford read David Stewart? But the bottom line is this. The bottom line is this. It doesn't really matter because outside this country, there's no way of telling what people are actually really worth outside of America. You can't tell that like this because in America, you can look at Donald Trump and you can see his wealth. You can see the buildings he has. You can just quantify that, you know. But people always say Oprah's worth. I'm like, well, where's the wealth at? What exactly she own? Go to the stock exchange. What stocks do they own? You know. What major thing that people own that basically like that actually turns revenue? You know, the only place you can really make $1 billion really is in America. That's the only way you can make billions of dollars in the United States. I'm convinced of that. I've not seen anything like that unless you basically got a monopoly in countries like Asia and maybe South Africa and stuff like that. Mexico, yes. Canada, okay. But for the most part, man, there's no billionaires outside the United States. You know, people may be worth like $40 million and they call themselves a billionaire. You know, the Igbos run the Black Roll. Okay, I didn't know about that. I never met an Igbo in my life. I didn't know that, man. I run a business in America. I never did any business with an Igbo. I don't know any Igbos, you know. I don't know one Nigerian in my city, you know. So I don't know. You know, so it doesn't matter. We're built in mind. We're still here, you know. That's what beauty about America is the fact that we was able to build communities up like that. I go tell you, Virginia, we got so many nice black communities. That's what I do love about our community. We still got nice black communities. Everything like that was never built for us, but we still was able to carve out a space for us in this country. They could not do nothing about it, you know? So, so it is what it is. That's good for them international. I don't have to be international, you know? You know? So I don't have to be international. I don't have to go to every fucking country looking for an opportunity. I have an opportunity right here in the United States, and I want to spread some of the opportunity to the continent. You know, I don't need to go be in India. I don't need to be in China. I don't need to be in fucking Australia. I don't need to be in Dubai. I don't need to be sitting in the UK, you know, because like that. What the hell are you doing in a fucking UK? Yo, look, Nigeria is a fucking shithole. Well, if the richest black people are living in Nigeria, bro, that's sad. That is sad. That country is fucking a mess. That country looks filthy, man. Well, let's play some Nigeria videos, man. Let's play some Nigeria, you know. Let's play some Nigeria videos.
Several factors are responsible for the high poverty rate in Nigeria: unemployment, corruption, non-diversification of the economy, income inequality.
Yeah, the richest black people in the world right here, man. Oh, geez, man. And I got to go here. You know, Nigeria looks way worse than Liberia, to tell you the truth.
Laziness and a poor education system have been identified as some of the key factors.
It's a poor education system. I thought Nigeria was so educated. The Nigerians got a lot of propaganda that they put out online about themselves, but this is the reality.
factors contributing to poverty in the country. Poverty in Nigeria manifests in several forms. One of these is the inability of many parents to send their children to school. As a result of this, more than 10 million Nigerian children do not have the opportunity to attend schools, and that is the highest rate in the world. A good number of these figure comes from the northern part of the country, where a skilled educational system and other socio-cultural factors have contributed to the tally. Worried about the potential socio-economic and security threats from the army of out-of-school children, the federal government has put in place a number of programs aimed at addressing the situation. The latest of such efforts is the implementation of the At-Risk Children Program, domiciled in the Office of the Vice President and directly supervised by the Office of the Special Advisor to the President on Social Investments. In line with the objectives, the At-Risk Children Program team at the national and state levels, partnering with state governments, development partners, and relevant agencies, have facilitated several training programs for youth facilitators who are considered very crucial to the success of the program. The youth facilitators who are being trained on several skills, including basic literacy and numeracy, sports and life skill, vocational and digital skills, mental health, are expected to provide mentorship and guardians to the primary beneficiaries of the At-Risk Children Program. About 7,000 youth facilitators have been trained so far across 5 states of Gombe, Borno, Sokoto, and Ondo. Yet, there have been other interventions aimed at tackling the issue of poverty in Nigeria. The National Social Investment Program, NSIP, was launched in 2016 by the President Muhammadu Buhari administration in line with the federal government's national poverty reduction strategy. The program, which was being coordinated by the National Social Investment Office, domiciled in the Office of the Vice President.
Ben Yusuf, man, long time no see, man.
Hey,
You
what's
gotta
up,
turn
now?
your
Can you hear
backplay
me?
off, bro.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you think that the problem in Nigeria is due to the large brain drain? Because they have a lot of doctors
They
going
don't.
to the West.
I would say that, man. But when you look at the Nigerians overseas, they're not really doing that well either. A couple of years ago, you got to take you off the playback, man. You got feedback. Did you cut the feedback off?
Yeah, it's off. I put you on mute. Yep.
Okay, all right. Now what happens is, no, look, Nigeria has a lot of great potential. Its size alone, has a lot of great potential. But I think what the problem is with Nigerians is, like a lot of Africans is, they have a problem with delayed gratification. In other words, basically, you will never see. Have you ever seen an African work a blue collar job in America for 30 years and retire and get a pension?
No, I ain't seen that yet.
No, have you never? You never will. That's where most of Black America's wealth come from, like the trucking industry, the skilled trades and stuff like this, the civil service, and that's where all the Black America has literally trillions of dollars worth of pension funds, 401ks,
Yeah,
everything
the
like
auto
that.
industry in Detroit,
Huh?
like the
The
auto
auto
industry.
industry, of course, like retirement. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Steel industry, everything. That's where the wealth comes from, not from freaking people thinking they got to get a fucking college education. Like that. You got to build that infrastructure. Like Nigeria does not have an industrial infrastructure. That doesn't have an industrial consumption base. Doesn't have none of that stuff like that. It could, but they didn't, really do what Abacha was trying to do back in the 90s and everything. So they failed to neglect that. Yeah, they do have a potential to do that, but the whole thing is every Nigerian wants to get rich. They don't have that work ethic. Like, okay, I let me just get my degree. It's the same thing happened in Vietnam, where they trained all these engineers and whatnot, but instead of people doing jobs, participating in massive projects, they started learning how to play the stock exchange, got into money and stuff like that. So a lot of money and time were wasted on people on education, where like in Nigeria, they spend a lot of money on education, but they don't get no return on it, because what's the return on investment when you go live in the United States and work for 10 years, as a doctor or whatever like that, instead of what it was invested in is you may not make as much in Nigeria, but you're helping to build your country. So you're sacrificing yourself so the future generations can have big salaries and stuff like that. They don't want to do that. They don't want to take one generation and say, look, let's just build this shit, That's why you have a lopsided. You got people that are tremendously rich and the masses are completely poor, because nobody want to make that sacrifice. That's what's my obvious opinion of Nigerians, Like Ant keeps saying the richest Nigerians are living in Nigeria. Dude, man, you don't worry about some rich people. A few rich people mean nothing. You got oil. Of course, you're going to have rich people. Every civilization, that's no big deal. But you're going to have no middle class. Black America has a middle class. We have a working middle class. Working class and middle class. That's the largest in the world. We have more home ownerships, more real estate. Nigeria doesn't have a real estate system. They don't have no mortgages, no equity, no real estate. They don't have none of that. They say you get a house in Nigeria, you just build it, but you're supposed to be able to build equity in the house. That's how you create wealth. So there's no middle class. That's the entry into the middle class is owning a home, in America.
Yeah, I see that a lot in Lagos and the States and in the UK. They like to floss, they like to shine. You know what I mean? They got the cars and.
Oh yeah, because the money they spend on importing Humvees and cars and stuff like that, just money draining out of the country instead of really getting and building a steel industry so they can build an automobile. They really got together with Ghana and a couple of South Africa. They could have really got together and built the automobile industry that's manufactured on the continent, not assembled, but manufactured on the continent, But, they didn't do that. It's easy just to import cars and assemble them there and actually manufacture them, So it is what it is, So it is what it is, So,
yeah, the hot car to get over there is Mercedes, even if it's an old one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I saw, check this out. Funny you said that, right? I seen like a 1983 Mercedes driving down Tubman Boulevard yesterday, and I'm in Liberia. And my driver said, yeah, that's a Nigerian car. They love Nigeria. Nigeria loves that. It was one old Mercedes from back in the 70s. He goes, they love those cars. As when you see a Mercedes in old Mercedes in Liberia, it's usually a Nigerian. It's very funny. They love Mercedes, man. The Nigerians have made Hummers and Mercedes so much money, man. It's unreal. But they invested in the automobile industry. You think a country the size of Nigeria would be like Japan, would have had a freaking motor industry, several different motor industries, manufacturing cars and stuff. But steel industry, you gotta have steel. You gotta have all these things like that. It takes investment and time. It takes people taking 30 years to say, look, like the Hyundai. It took the guy that started Hyundai, Young Chung, his name is, took 4 decades to build Hyundai into the corporation was. By the 90s, Hyundai was up to the level of Ford, Mitsubishi, Japan industry and whatnot. It took decades. It was hard work, but they built South Korea's industrial middle class, and Africa doesn't have an industrial middle class, They don't have people with, making 6 figures, working and everything, earning a pension, savings and everything like that, with investment funds and stuff like that. They don't have that. It's either you're rich because you're using graft or just happen to be lucky or politically connected, or you're just done. You're out,
Yeah, I think they live off remittance, a lot of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, remittances and stuff like that. So, yeah, it is what it is. That's their life, man. That's what they want. That's what they want. But like I said, you got some Nigerians that are really balling. They got money and everything. No doubt about it. They know how to make money, but, whether, people are crowding them the leaders of black people, I don't see that. I don't see that, So Chupo, the Nigerian diaspora. I'm like, in America, I mean, do you come across a lot of Nigerians, Ben?
Up in I'm up in Canada. They got there's a lot of Nigerians, the East Indians. You know, ones you rarely see is Kenyans. I don't see them moving around too much. Like
Yeah.
you know, I like Kenyans though. The women there are more. They're not as loud as Nigerians. You know what I mean? They're more subtle. You know, Nigerians are kind of out there. You know, they got to be seen. You know.
Yeah, that's their style, man. That's their style. They're like, what you call extra. They're extra, you know.
Yeah, the women wear a lot of makeup, man. A lot of makeup.
Yeah. I mean, I was here in Liberia. A lot of the Nollywood films are popular. I just can't get into them, man. It's like every time you see a Nigerian, it's like why do women always look like they bleach their skin? It's like they always got there's not no natural Nigerian beauty. It's like the only beauty Nigeria has is like weaves and bleached skin and eyelashes, and I'm like, what the hell? But I'm watching some good shows, and Nollywood improved over the years. I give them that. They improved over the years. They improved like that. They're not as clownish as they used to be, but I'm like, but the thing is, what they do is when they got to do Nollywood's fire. This guy FB is just trolling me, This guy basically doesn't like Africa at all, but he's on there just trolling me, whatever like that. Things like this. Look, I'm rooting for Nollywood, man. Let's hope it gets better, So, we're watching the thing. I was watching my lady say, they were in this scene for 3 hours. They do one scene and they're in the one. I mean, talking about saving money. I said they had like 5 different conversations for 2 hours and whatnot, and they haven't left the scene. You know how when you do a scene in a restaurant, the next thing you know, you see them walk on the beach. That's how you do it. You know what I'm saying? They be doing films, you could tell it's really cheap. It's like, okay, we're going to shoot a whole movie from this one room. Like, be like 4 hours. And
yeah,
they have
it's usually about 2 premises. Some poor woman marrying a secret billionaire, some type of voodoo curse stuff. You know what I mean? Witchcraft.
It's like their creativity is not there, man. I'm like, dude, man, come on. You can't sell this to us, man. Come on. You can't sell this to us, man. I mean, if people like that, man, it's all right, man. But I like watching, I like. You seen that Creed 3 movie? I heard Creed 4 came out, Did you see that movie, Creed 3?
No, I got to check that out.
That was a really good movie. I like the setting in that movie. It was just so beautiful. There was in some hills in California somewhere. That was just such a beautiful black movie. God, I love that, man, And then I saw, when I was at the Wakala Lodge the other day, we were sitting outside the lodge up there here in Liberia. We were sitting outside watching on a big screen outside in the hammocks right there. We were just all sitting in the hammocks watching a big screen. And we were watching Bad Boys Ride or Die. That was actually pretty good. That was actually pretty good. I was like, I said, they was like, yeah, we got a bunch of movies. I said, what's on tonight? I said, please don't put no damn Nollywood movie. I wanted to watch something from America, so we put on Bad Boys Ride or Die. That's a one that came out last year. Donald Trump says The Color Purple, the Curve. Now Anthony's hating that's a crap movie. That was a good movie. The Bad Boys Ride. That was bad, man. That was some action, bro. We know what I mean. I haven't seen no real action movies from Nollywood. Nothing. I don't know.
No, I guess it's always the guy. He's really a billionaire, and is that type of deal? Like
when a guy cheats on his wife or something like that, or I don't know. I don't know. People like that stuff, man. To me, it's boring. I can't get into it.
Even the Mexican, I forget what they call it. Even they kind of up their game a little bit.
Yeah.
Action movies, you know what I'm saying? Even though it's about drug dealing and shit, but
right.
They kind of brought the production up, the editing, and
The only people that really ever made good movies outside the United States was Asia, Hong Kong cinema. The only ones that really made action movies, Hong Kong, Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, and Asian martial arts movies and
Oh,
whatnot.
the
You
Shaw
know,
Brothers. Yeah, the Shaw Brothers.
Shaw
Uh-huh.
Brothers. Oh yeah, I got all Shaw Brothers movies, man. They were the best. Shaw Brothers made the best movies in ever history. You know, that's why I grew up on Shaw Brothers. So I'm like this, man. I always wanted to see an African. You know who got good movies? Actually, South Africa. South Africa got good movie, good cinema. You know,
Oh
they
yeah, I've
got
seen
really
some
good
of
stuff.
those on Netflix. Some of the action ones.
Yeah, they got some good movies. South Africa has really good movies. South Africa, they got some really in-depth movies. So I don't know. I guess what now it reminds me of. It reminds me of Tyler Perry. You know, that's all Nollywood is Tyler Perry's. In Africa. Tyler Perry to be the same plot, same characters, same thing. The strong black woman, the black man trying to find himself, and all stuff like that. It's just the same old
Yeah, and
cliche.
the light skinned guy is the good guy.
Yeah, the light skinned guy, the thug, and all stuff like that. I'm like, yo, dude, man, come on. Tyler Perry is a fucking more. That people like that. Hey, look, that's fine. I don't care if he's a billionaire. When I don't watch his stuff. I don't care what he does. Tyler Perry. When I just don't. I just don't. They was asking why black men don't like Tyler. Look, we don't want no. Look, he don't appeal us. That's why all these people, when they went to vote for Kamala, right? They said black men weren't moved by nobody because none of these people represent us. Tyler Perry, Steve Harvey, none of these people represented black men. And people think, oh, just because you're Tyler Perry and worth $1 billion, we're supposed to just listen to what the hell you guys say, man. Get out of here, So it is what it is. So it is what it is. But let me ask you a question, Ben. You seem like you're more interested in Africa nowadays. What's going on?
No. I talk to a lot of people, man. I used to live in Hong Kong back in the day, so I've met a lot of West Africans, Cameroonians, Nigerians. You know what I'm saying? A couple East Africans, but mostly Cameroonians, Nigerians. So I kind of got it. Yeah, and the majority of the Nigerians, hate to say it, they want that fast money. They was on some.
That's their culture. They want that fast, and they don't want to build nothing.
Yeah.
They don't want to build nothing.
Even the other Africans would tell you, don't even trust them. You know what I'm saying? They was always on something slick.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, man, because the bottom line is this: to do business long term, man, you got to have, I don't see. Okay, they may. I don't see Africa money doesn't come like that. I mean, just if you're doing something legal, it takes time. You have to have trust and stuff like that. You have to sign documents. You have to have lawyers. You have all stuff like that. All that stuff I can't see Nigerians doing. I can see them doing some fast, slick stuff when like in Liberia, Nigerians were selling tainted sodas and liquor and stuff like that. Just taking stuff that was outdated. They changed the label on. They got caught in Liberia. And arrested for selling stuff like that. They do stuff like that.
Oh yeah, the majority of the prisons that got blacks in them is Nigerians.
Yeah, you go to Asia, Malaysia, man. I'm not trying to disparage Nigeria because a lot of Nigerians do good work around the world. But the bottom line is that lust for money that they have, man. That's why I wish Nigeria could have built a huge middle class, become like a more middle class country, right? Where people don't have to go outside that country. Every time you see a Nigerian overseas, that's a red flag.
Yeah, they want that fast money. That's the problem. Like Hush Puppy, they want to stunt. They want to stunt. That's what it's about. That come fast, they lose it fast too. Ain't no substance to it.
Yeah. So if you go out there with that fast money in this way of time, and nowadays with this guy Trump in office, he's not playing. This guy is not playing. About stuff like that. You see that. What do you think about them sending people? They even talk about sending U.S. citizens to these supermax prisons in El Salvador.
But I have no problem about him sending the illegals, back. No problem at all. They'd be either from the Ukraine, Russians, Eastern Europe, Caribbean, whatever. You got to come over here to right. Like I came to Canada, right? I had to go through so much shit and pay so much money. You know what I'm saying? to do it the right way, you know. So you don't know who these people are. They're sneaking over. They child molesters, rapists, serial killers. You don't
Yeah,
know.
people basically thought they were entitled to come here and do what the hell they want to do. It's a country basically that basically felt that everybody's over. America was like a whore. Everybody come in and do what you ever want to do. You know.
Yeah, it made the country look weak, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that was the intentions of these people. These people like AOC and all these people, they really hate this country, right? Ilhan Omar, that's what they really want. They want to see America fall, you know? They were deliberately trying to destroy the country while they're holding office and whatnot, and basically like this. So I'm glad Donald Trump did what he did, because like I said, as far as my problem with America, I have a lot of problems, but I don't want to see it fall, you know? Not this way. You know, why these little worms, these little weasels get into power and whatnot, you know, and try to bring the country down. Because like I said, bottom line, I have never seen black people benefit from none of the stuff the Democrats are talking about. Nothing. You know, I've never seen anybody benefit from this stuff. All I see is same old, and same old. So I say, look, might as well just rock with Trump, you know. At least, you know, I don't care. You know, let's rock with him.
Hey, who was that woman Crockett? What's her name?
Jasmine Crockett. She's our fellow hood rat. You know, a hood rat.
No, I mean, is she like, is she Caribbean or what's her deal?
No, she's Black American, but she's a fucking hood rat. You know, she's from Houston. You know, she's a Houston hood rat. You know, boss chick. You know, and so bottom line is all they think about doing is getting up there. She came into office 2 years ago. Now she's worth $10 million. You don't think there's something wrong with that?
No, she bought.
She's bought out $10 million in 2 years.
She's bought out. The crazy thing is, all that shit act because she come from a good family and she acting like she from the ghetto.
Yeah, that's what I said. Just like when they brought up Megan Thee Stallion sticking a stick in that stage.
Even Meg come from a good family too. All them she come from a good family too, but she acting like she from the ghetto too.
Yeah, she graduated from college, I think.
She went to TSU. Yeah, she came. I remember. She went to TSU. She came for money.
Yeah. So the bottom line, that's the whole thing about our culture. It's like you ain't black unless you
ghetto. Yeah, you got to get out the mud. I hate that shit now. They get it out that mud mentality. You got to struggle.
It's like this. Okay, we're ghetto on that. So in other words, basically, we have no identity outside of freaking the ghetto struggle or not. You know, and that's what dominates Black America now.
How did the ghetto spread so fast? Because I don't remember this.
Because you know why? I'll tell you why. You want to know why? It's because white people embraced it. You know, that's all.
White people like ghetto.
Latinos and all these other people needed some escape. See, the thing is, white people, all these people have their own ghetto culture, you know, but they keep it to themselves and they keep like this. What we allowed to happen was we let our ghetto culture become so mainstream, you know. Mm-hmm. Everybody basically like this. So let me give you a perfect example.
It should have just stayed in the hood, man.
I'm getting tired of ghetto shit now.
We're all tired of that shit, you know. Check us out. Just watch out. So I said, soldiers like you guys understand what I'm talking about, but people like Chuko, he thinks we're all sitting there cheering that shit on. No, we don't. He don't know shit about Black America.
Chuko crazy. I just had
I ain't got time for that shit. I ain't with none of that ghetto shit, man. I come from.
Check us out.
I ain't got
there was a black man eating a dead rat on this Black News. I don't know who does this stuff.
I saw it on the New York Post. Saw it on the New York Post. Kyle, it's real. It's real.
But the thing is, why did didn't Chukwu and Princess Appeed said that there's no African Americans in New York City anymore? Remember that? So why would a guy basically eating a rat, they automatically assume he's African American guy, you know?
No, that's a foreigner.
Yeah, of course it's a foreigner, you know. But automatically assume he's African American.
I'm sorry.
Anytime somebody do something,
he Haitian.
Probably Haitian or something, yes.
I know Black Americans from New York, they don't do that crazy shit.
We ain't doing that bullshit.
I know you don't do that shit.
Fuck out.
So this is what I'm talking about. Right?
Homeless are assholes for like $2 or $3. They go buy some McDonald's or something. Hell no.
I ain't never heard no Black New Yorker doing that.
But check this out. This is the whole problem, right? This is why I fight against this. Was something somehow Black America has a huge legacy in America, right? We have people in all aspects of education, banking. If you take time, Black America is everywhere. We're the power, like this. But there's a myth going around by white supremacists, and a lot of Black immigrants are going around making it seem like we're all ghetto, right? And anytime you see a Black person that's doing well, he must be a Nigerian, or Caribbean or something like this.
Yeah.
So therefore, our heritage, our legacy is being destroyed in America, right? Like I'm running a business. I walk in the office, right? I'm getting invited to when I get back, I'm going down. Me and my brother and sister going down to Dallas. We got invited to a exclusive dinner and retreat for a weekend. And
when you gonna be in Dallas?
Because we're the top sales agents in Virginia, right? Now, when we get down there and take a picture with the top people, these are billionaires, right? People will say, "Look at these Nigerian immigrants. How they,
And that's crazy."
It's like they're trying to. It's the erasure of Black American identity. So in other words, we don't like ourselves because we've been told that Black America's ghetto and everything like that, slavery, and they try to deify people like Nigerians. I have no. People think I don't like Nigerians. No, I don't. I don't like them propping them up over us. It's not that. It's not that. Because it's ridiculous. But
Nigeria is a shithole though. Nigeria is a hellhole. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a hellhole. I'd rather live in the ghetto than Nigeria. I'm sorry to tell you.
It is a hellhole. But the whole thing is, like I said, when they come to America, right? It's like people automatically assume that you're freaking Caribbean.
I think white people are doing that. So this minute,
white people are doing it. Of course they are. Of course they are.
Like, of course they don't want us to know our culture. Like I said, I learned about Liberia and everything from you, type shit. I ain't know about that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to learn about this.
They're not gonna teach you about Liberia. It's gonna give you power.
You know what I'm saying? That really
power, man.
Yeah. I'm in Liberia right now. And I feel power, man. It's like I feel like a superhero right now.
Too much power, man.
Because I feel like
you know what it mean. You know what it mean. We hearing about that in middle school and high school about that shit. We're gonna be energized.
We built the country.
Energized for the world.
They teach about slavery and shit. Crazy ass shit. And
just that history alone is gonna energize you for the world. It's gonna get you
bro. Yeah.
Yo, we could do anything. We could do anything. We could do our own shit anytime.
Yeah, we did it before. Like this, like I said, this is why I'm in Liberia right now and I'm trying to save this history, because if we did this before, we can do it again. Imagine that we could do it in this day and time.
We did, Kyler, we did that in harsh times, man.
In harsh times, came out of slavery and some
chaotic times, man. Chaotic times, dangerous times, very dangerous.
We had to fight local people. We had to fight slave traders still on the coast. We had to fight the British Empire, the French, the Portuguese, all that. We had to do all that, and we still maintained the
Black civilization. Black civilization.
We established a Black civilization on this continent.
Before they even had
all of Africa to independence, It talks like this, but do you know the Nigerian leaders, all of them came to Liberia to learn the intricacies of government and stuff like that. Liberia was a teacher in the University of Liberia, what governance, the protocols of governments and all stuff like this, And he doesn't understand. Nnamdi Azikiwe, if you don't understand something, came to Liberia and he came to, he was in Morehouse, in Howard, their first president. And also Kwame Nkrumah graduated from Lincoln University. He had it connected to Liberia in a Black America, They want to cut off this pipeline between Black America and Africa with people like Kwame Nkrumah, Patrice Lumumba, and all that.
And they don't believe it. You see the people in the comments don't believe you. You see that?
Liberia was the main hub to Black America.
Yeah, it was a hub between Black America and the rest of the continent. That's what I'm trying to reestablish that now. I'm trying to reestablish that now. I'm trying to reestablish that now. But as soon as basically I'm able to get my office set up over here, whatnot, it's going to be another hub where I'm bringing Africans from the other Angola, South Africa. Yeah, so we don't have to go to the whole entire continent. We could just have one place where we know if you want to connect with Black America, you come to Liberia. That's what I want. So that's where I go. And I'm not alone. Cynthia Nash the one who got Delta flights initially to Liberia with Bob Johnson. I
Mhm.
met her the other day, and she's going to do a magazine. Your boy right here is going to be in a magazine,
Yes,
featuring
indeed.
her magazine, International Focus.
Yes, indeed.
So hopefully I get this
Yes,
hopefully,
indeed.
and I want he's going to get an article too. We're going to both be in this magazine. It's an article about work in Liberia and stuff like
And
that.
are you in Nigeria right now? That's what I'm saying. You talking about all talk. He building something. You know what I'm saying? So
Ant-Man ain't doing nothing, man.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Ant-Man think we want to be
He's in the
Nigerian.
UK eating ice cream and popcorn. I'm in Liberia building, bro.
That's all you got to say. They think it's cap. You lying. You building.
International Focus magazine. They were here last year when we did we did our tour last year.
Mhm.
They were one of our guest speakers at the conference. The first Monrovia edition. Dave, you ever see that? I'm gonna send it to you.
Yeah, send it to me. Send it to me.
Which we call matter of fact, I got when I come back, I'm bringing a few issues, and I'll send you one of people I send to. The issue. But the first issue of Monrovia in June of last year, and it also the BAO was mentioned in that group. It had Ross, my guy Ross, BAO chapter in there and whatnot. I was like, yeah, you go, and my man's in the magazine. He's a part of the Liberian Tourism Association. When I was a whole article on Liberian tourism, and he was a featured guest. They were at the magazine people were at the our business conference we had last year in Monrovia. So it is this. So people like Ant-Man, Colleen, Billinato, you keep thinking people keep
man, that man's a hater. Yeah, I'm gonna hate.
You need to build Nigeria. That's what you need to do.
Yeah. I know. If you're not in Nigeria, you can't say much. No, you cannot
Build
say
that
much. You cannot say much if you're not in Nigeria. If you're not in your home country, you
Go build that up.
I'm not doing. I'm a Black African American, and I thought Nigeria was important enough to be here.
We could just end it like this. We came from slavery, and we did more than what they did in 1,000 or 2,000 years. You understand?
I know. It's really amazing how we came out of slavery, hit the shores of Africa in less than 25 years. Matter of fact, Liberia had caught up with the rest of the world in less than 50 years. It had caught up with Portugal, Spain, France, everything on that. It was just waiting to enter the industrial age. But that needed Black people from America. That needed more Black people from America, which never came. Yeah.
I've seen videos of it on YouTube. We had aristocratic people from Europe going to Liberia to go see Liberia and everything. I seen it. I saw it. Politicians. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So like I said, it's growing. Black people are rediscovering this country, man. It's a brilliant. I had two brothers that were on YouTube one night. They have a channel called Do Africa. Check them out. Do exclamation point Africa. Them bros, I meet them bros every day at the lagoon and whatnot. You say, hey, what's up, man? They say, yeah, I know Dynas and whatnot. You saw me on the show before. Yeah, so we're connecting. So basically, I'm just connecting with a lot of people since I've been over here, man. Just like people know me from YouTube and know me from Facebook and stuff, and stuff like that. So so this movement is growing. As soon as this channel gets monetized, it's really gonna grow.
Yes, indeed.
So this channel is monetized, and I can start doing all the stuff I want to do, man.
Yes, indeed.
A nice office. I want to get a nice office space, man. I want to get a nice office space. And stuff like that. We're gonna really do a lot of stuff. I'm connected with a lot of people, and this movement's gonna grow. And then we have a direction. We have it like this. When people talk about, when people come here talk about the Palestinian, the Palestinian issue is not my issue. Well, the LGBT, that's not my issue, right? They said, well, how do you get my vote? Well, you see what we're trying to do with Liberia and Africa, right? Well, sing me my favorite song. Okay, Black people need to connect with Africa. There should be billions of dollars in aid and which is like that. Now you're talking my tune. We can get my vote, But a lot of these people aren't singing my song, I hear the same old every time, and no more singing my song, I don't know what song anybody else is singing, but I don't hear nothing else. All I want to hear is, do you believe in an Afghanistan for Black America? You do?
Ain't the Palestinians Arabs, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, the Arabs, you know, what the hell they got to do with me? You know, nothing.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, they were slave
I wish
owners,
them a
the
lot of
first slave
luck, you
owners.
know. Look, I wish them a lot of luck, whatever like that, because they're gonna need it, you know. But that's not us picking a fight with Israel. We don't need that shit right now, you know. We don't need a fight with these fucking people like that. We don't need to get in a fight.
We got
with
too
them.
much to worry about.
Especially for
Yeah,
some damn Arabs, man.
We always worried about somebody else, you know.
That ain't no
Yeah.
fight, man.
Go
That
on
ain't
the
no
Arab and shit, you heard me?
That
Yeah,
ain't
them
no
motherfuckers
fight.
was the slave owners or slave drivers for the white man.
Yeah, the first
know.
ones.
And also, you go to these places like this, these Arabs, they don't fucking like us, man, you know. But yet they think they're entitled to us, like the Mexicans right now.
Don't
The
get me
Mexicans
started
look
on that.
stupid. They look really fucking stupid because they thought they were co-partners with white America, right? But
Yeah.
they realize they're not white enough, you know. They're like, oh, where's black people at? How come they're not saying it? Because we don't give a shit about y'all.
Yeah.
You know, when y'all get
Yeah.
hauled off by ICE, we don't care. You know,
I might
We
call
don't.
ice on them. I ain't lying.
I say, look, I'll be honest with you, man. I'm expecting, look, man, I'm gonna start spreading the ICE number up there.
Yes,
Yo,
indeed.
call us,
He ain't lying. I seen the takeover, bro.
I said, yo, if you guys want a job, man, go join ICE, man. They pay good, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes, indeed.
You know what I'm saying? So what, man? You know, the big
Yeah,
people
true. I
like-
was living at Afghanistan.
Kyla, what is to go join ICE?
I was thinking about it, man. I was really thinking about it, man. I was thinking, like, yo, man, you got to go, man. You got to go. Go.
And all them people watered down America anyways. Like y'all said earlier, like, remember back in the day we had 4th of July parades and stuff like that. Just, you know, just Americana, you know, stuff like that. You heard me? So
They come to America, right?
mhm.
And
They don't assimilate.
They want to raise
Yeah.
their flag. They want to do all the stuff like this, and do all that. That's just fun, right? But the bottom line is this: when you come to a country, if I'm in
gotta
Liberia,
assimilate.
I'm going to respect it.
Mhm.
I'm respect the country, the flag, everything the country stands for. That's what I'm like. I'm not in America. I'm in Liberia, right? I'm not in
Yes,
Nigeria.
indeed.
I'm not in Ghana. I'm in Liberia, right? When in Liberia, do as the Liberians do, you know? When in Rome, do as Romans do, right? When these people come over here, they expect to come to America. They expect us to do like they are. No,
We gotta
it
speak
don't work
Spanish
like
and
that.
everything.
They want to change us or whatnot. Like,
Trust me, I know I live in
yeah,
Texas.
just like even African immigrants come over here. Like, like, I remember there was one thing a couple years ago. Like, I didn't know how to. This is before. It's like 2011. There was this Ghanaian popular restaurant in Manhattan, right? It was like in Harlem, right? It was Harlem. It was Ghanaian food. It became a big hit, right? And I was like, okay, I want to try that one day, right? And then at the end of the article, right, the guy made a comment. He said, give me a couple of years. I guarantee you they're going to give up that soul food. And I didn't know how to take that at first. I was like, all right, maybe he's
Say
concerned
what?
about our health. Then I realized, he said, the black people are going to give up their soul food.
That's crazy. Okay.
Nah, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, so I said to myself, dude, man,
I mean, they trying to take it
I'll
though.
eat. Why can't I just enjoy your food and say, okay, I had a good time, go home? Why do you insist on me giving up my sweet potatoes, my macaroni and cheese, my fried chicken, my collard greens, all the stuff like that, my cornbread, my iced tea, all the stuff that I grew up with, and I love, my fried chicken,
I love.
yeah, all the stuff like this, man. I'm like, hey, look, man, what the hell? I gotta give up.
Cheese, Didi.
I know, black
Damn
eyed peas.
Hey, who said that to give that up? Who said that?
The Ghanaians.
It was a Ghanaian chef. And I think that's what, a lot of it, that's what the FBA movement is a pushback on, a lot of that, because we Pan-Africans, we was like, well, Africans, whatnot. But like I was telling Baruti, we're still Black America. We still got we're with a story, that's 400 years. 400 years being a people and everything like that. You can't just tell somebody everything you experienced was wrong. We're going to tell you who you are. It don't work like that.
Check this out. We rocked out way more than a lot of people. We went to Dominican Republic, had the Samana people, went to Trinidad, the Americans. You know what I'm saying? Everywhere we went,
Panama,
we influenced
Costa Rica,
the culture,
Mexico,
people. Yeah, the Seminole, all that. That's our people. You know, that's our people. We influence
So
that.
the people of Samana, Dominican Republic, still got names like Wilson, Taylor, and they still go to church, the AME church, and they still do eat the same food. And it's amazing. You know, so maybe that tells you there is an African American culture, you know.
It is.
And Liberia was a perfect example because you go to Liberia, you know, my woman, basically her mother gave me some food the other day. You know what she gave me? Pig's feet. I don't eat that shit.
Like you from the country or some shit.
No, but they got it from when they came.
But
they brought it over there. They brought it over there, Kyla.
I know, but I'm like this. I know we brought it over here, but I don't eat pig feet at all.
Yeah,
you know?
I know. I don't eat pig feet either, but I don't eat it either. But you know, they brought it over there.
But it came from America. You know, it shows you. All of a sudden, not only that, they do watch night. You know, watch nights on New Year's Eve. You know, watch night is African American culture. Is we eat eyed peas and rice, I believe. It's black eyed peas, whatever.
Black eyed peas.
Black eyed peas, and you know, we sit in the dark with a candle waiting for the New Year's to come in. I had no idea. It's something goes back to slavery times. Everything. But we were doing that for something. Yeah.
That's one thing I could say about Liberia, man. Liberia, you feel like you in the South.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yo, check this out. When we go to the upriver settlement,
like you're in the South in Africa, bro.
For real?
It's like you like in the down south. You like in the deep south.
Cornbread, right? Yo, you gonna find cornbread, banana bread.
What?
Oh yeah, man. Liberia is Black America, man. Shoot, man. You see the churches.
All the native women I know how to fix cornbread. So
for real?
Yeah, the native people adopted.
Oh shit!
Native people of Liberia adopted the settler American culture.
Y'all been hiding this. Hold on then. Y'all get a large group of people from the South to go like they want to retire. Like I ain't know.
Yeah, that's the idea, man. When we could build Liberia as a place of retirement, oh my God, man. There'll be so many people coming here. There's so much land is under that's Dave. There's so much land in Liberia, it's like unreal, man. You know, we could build whole communities and they wouldn't even miss it, you know? We could build whole community subdivisions. Liberia is like a perfect country for Black America if it was done right. You know, we need the right leadership and stuff like that, guys.
What kind of leadership, like a Stern? Like, what kind of leadership do you like?
Well, what I'm saying is a leadership that basically is going to take this movement serious. In other words, basically, we need people that basically serious about settling and building outside of America, right? What I think a lot of times I see a lot of Black people, like, let me give you an example. In 1994, when Mandela was elected president, right? He invited African Americans to South Africa, right? A lot of them went there. Whitney Houston, a lot of people invested, right? But then again, a lot of them went there with the pretension that they showed their skills. When they come back to America, they were going to be in corporate America and white people see what they did and whatnot. So they went down there and they really did a good job with that. But the whole idea is they didn't say that white people like, we hope you stay there. You know? They came back to America thinking they were going to climb the corporate ladder. It didn't work, you know? And then you have Blacks Without Borders. They came here 10 years later in 2004, 2006. They had a better time with it because they said, look, you know, we're really trying to build here and stay here. You know, the first group of Black people that came to Liberia in 94, they had no intention of staying there, you know? And so they basically was just coming down there to make some money and come back and say, put that on their portfolio. I went to South Africa, I did this. It was an easy thing, you know, because you didn't get a chance like that in America to run a major corporation in South American corporation like IBM and stuff like that. All Black CEOs down there, you know? But they thought they could come back to America and use that to climb in America, which they should have basically said, you know something, let's make Africa our home, you know? There's a chance to make it. They didn't do that. So that's when we say leadership, that's what we need. We need people who are serious about building on the continent, living on the continent, you know, and making a place on the continent for our people long term, you know? We need that long-term leadership. What is our political goals? You know, what are our interests in the country? You know, we need to have our own think tanks, you know, our support systems, our groups and everything here, you know, that protect our interests, you know. These are our interests. It's one thing to be interested in something. Another thing to have interest. Interest means you got something tangible to win or lose. You know, too many times Black people don't have anything tangible win or lose. We're just interested, or we're interested in the Congo, or we're interested in Rwanda, we're interested in this, but you don't have no interest there. What business are you investing in? We should have what you always have, brother, is this. You look at the Indians when they go to a country, right? They'll have one family like the Patels, the Shahs, whatever like that, right? And they're the major investor, right? But then they have a secondary group that comes behind them. These are a support system, hotel owners, transportation owners, suppliers, store owners. You see what I'm saying? And then you got the third part, which is students and just laymen, but it's always being led by a major business. Anytime you say in that big major business, the people run that major, the families run that are like usually the leaders. And they're the people everybody go to, for everything, And then you got hotels, they all work together and network together, But problem is we're in Africa, the black people in America, like in Ghana, they don't work together at all. It's like they hate each other. I don't know. It was in the Gambia, the Bag family, and all those other people who had each other's throats. They don't like each other. It's that spirit that's ruining it, I hope we could do better in Liberia, where we actually become a people, like our ancestors did. Our ancestors gave us the model. Our ancestors work together, when they get to Liberia, community, they pull together, we're not going to do anything as an individual. So that's why we need leaders, somebody's a millionaire, he wants to come over and say, yeah, I'm building this. But in the real time, I need to bring real estate developers, housing, stuff like that. And we're planning on doing this. You have a major project, several major projects that we need leadership on, Imagine a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Imagine if somebody like Tyler Perry, a couple of people said, something, Liberia got plenty of land. Let's build a Hollywood, theme park and movie industry. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
a major person.
That'd be big.
And then what's happening? The supply chain that comes after him, in the wake of that, is going to create opportunity for people to come behind him, and become part of that. You see what I mean? But you need that major anchor business to invest in something, And how do we get those people to realize that thing? That's what I'm working on. I want to work on so my office and everything in Liberia has everything in place so I could basically send out letterheads to Hightower Petroleum Company out of Akron, Ohio. I want to send a letter to them saying, Mr. Hightower, Dave, Liberia used to refine Nigeria's oil?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. It used to refine Nigeria's oil back in the 60s. Nigeria, matter of fact, it was an African-American guy, Liberian guy who discovered Nigerian oil. I bet Ant-Nam don't even know that. Discovered Nigeria had oil. Because Nigeria was just freaking exported palm oil, and then they discovered they had real crude oil. It was an African-American engineer. Oil. Somebody from Oklahoma or something like that knew a lot about oil. That's what I heard, But anyway, Liberia used to had their own refinery, in Freeport. This is where ships came to get refueled and some of everything, So therefore, like I said, Mr. Hightower contacted one of my guys in the BAO that lives in London and said, I'm interested in Sierra Leone. Because I want to build a petroleum storage unit, for West Africa, right? And Mr. Barrington Rowe called me. He said, Colin, Mr. Hyde, I said, you serious? You talking to Hyde? He said, yeah. And I said, I don't know anything about Sierra Leone, but I do know about Liberia. So basically that was like a year ago, so I haven't gotten back to him yet. But I want to make sure I get my office, everything set up right so I can be like, did Mr. Hyde, is he still looking for us? He could have found something already. I don't know, Is he still looking for oil to do oil storage in West Africa? I could probably introduce him to certain ministers in Liberia and we can make it happen. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean by an anchor business,
Mm-hmm.
Something major like that, So there's a lot to do with it, man. But like I said, we just need people, basically the political support in America, and people start saying, something, I like what Colin's doing in Liberia. Let's get behind it. That's all. We like what's going on and everything like that. We don't see anything else because nobody else is doing anything. You can't tell me what Roland Martin's doing. You can't tell me what Tariq Nasheed is doing. You can't tell me what Umar Johnson's doing. All he's doing is getting on video making clowns out of themselves, But this is something I'm working on. And it's not just me. I need everybody's help. Wherever you can do to just give us more information and stuff like that. Bruce says, Carla, when and where can an airline commercial article seen include a reference to you? Or I hope you grasp what you said correctly. Congratulations. Yeah, I have it basically. If I could get to the person, because I only got a week left here. I only got 1 week left right there. Hopefully, I can get this done. But Monty's working on it. I'm working on it, whatnot, But Monty's really pushing me. But I'm gonna try to just go down there tomorrow and just get it done with. I've been trying to call, but they're busy. Hopefully, I go down there tomorrow. And just basically knock it out. And we just do this interview and everything like that. Then I'll be published in a major magazine. And our story goes out to the world. I'll link to my YouTube channel. I link to my website, all stuff like this, my email, everything like that. All my information will be in there and stuff like that. Hopefully the right people will start getting a hold of me and we can start making this stuff happen, So I'm ready to step up to that level, so if anybody thought I was kidding or I think this is a joke, we're not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to disappoint you. So what's up, Dark Migo?
Darmigo on mute.
Yeah, Maruni goes, Colin, would you think you would enjoy being an ICE agent? I don't know. I'm just joking. You got to know do people know when I'm joking,
Yeah, you're not serious about that stuff.
ICE agent, I think it would be pretty funny to tell you the truth, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that, But sometimes when these fucking Mexicans,
sometimes people piss you off so much, you're like,
sometimes I get pissed off when man, like, what I might do is get a hat with it that says ICE on it, and like, what'd you say?
Yeah, they actually selling them on Amazon. A bunch of white guys is buying them and trolling immigrants.
Oh man,
hilarious! I saw that one guy CPAC, a white asshole came in CPAC dressed in an ICE uniform. When I said, "Yeah," I was walking around the block and man, see everybody. That shit was funny, man. It was hilarious.
Scary people.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is.
Colin, you scared? You scared? Yo, Colin, you scared people when you be bringing up ICE and stuff. You scare a lot of people, man.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Nobody wants to go back to hell. Nobody wants to go back to
that's what I'm saying, man. It's like, imagine deporting Chukwu or whatnot,
Oh,
no, he's a Nigerian man, Igbo man. Yeah, well, we want to send you back to Igbo land, Chukwu.
Oh.
Do something with your country. You gotta do something to get people to go back to the country and build, man. I'm telling you, man. It's like, dude, man, you like Elvis.
A lot of these guys, if you send them back college, they're gonna feel like you're trying to kill them.
Yeah, they think it's a death sentence or whatnot. That's
sad. It's a death sentence.
My driver, check this out. My driver, he's real smart, right? He's from Lofa. You should meet him, Dave Johnny. He's a good kid, man. Anyway, he told me today that a Portuguese guy went to Grand Cru. He said the Portuguese guy said he found so much wealth in Grand Cru, diamonds, gold, all different types of precious minerals. And he said there was enough wealth that they have developed could feed Liberia for thousands of years, in Grand Cru. Mm-hmm. Isn't that where Elvis is from, No,
he's from Grand Gita. Grand Gita, next to Grand Gita.
He said he's a crew man. So he's from both Grand Cru and Grand Gita, He should be down there. He should be down there helping his brother.
He should be down there digging.
Yeah, he should be down there doing something, man. In Minnesota, in cold ass Minnesota, man. What the hell is all that about, man? That's crazy. Yeah,
I never got that. I never got going to Minnesota.
What gets me is I be seeing Africans being in North Dakota, Montana.
I don't understand that, Carla. Like my mother and them, they don't understand that. They don't understand that.
This is what I said.
It's because it's because it's like a huge melting pot of like a whole bunch of races. So it's easier for them to, leave the Africanness and turn into Americans quicker. You know what I mean? If they went into predominantly black area, it's easier for them to be white in those kind of areas like North Dakota. And what's the other place you said? Minnesota?
This is what happens. This is what happens in America, right? Black America, like I said, I always wondered, I take my life as an example, right? I lived in a nice community in South Jamaica, Queens, right? That's where I was born. It was a nice neighborhood. We had a nice house and everything like that. It could have been better. I guess over years we could have remodeled or whatever like that. It was an older house, but it was home though, right? And then you got people, my cousins, they have really nice houses in South Jamaica, Queens, right? You know, you got Hollis and everything like that. I always want to know, why the hell did my father had to go to Jersey to work? Why did my uncle had to go to Manhattan? Why couldn't, and I used to see these warehouses in South Jamaica, Queens. I used to wonder, how come, I was asking, why don't you work there? Father says, well, you know, it was just abandoned buildings, you know? And I said, Dad, why don't you work over there so you don't have to go so far, you know? And then now I'm thinking about it. Why wasn't there opportunity right where we lived at? You know? Why is it that every time you see Black people, right, where we live at, there's no opportunity? We got to go to like 5 states away, and we got to go here, we got to go there. You got to live in New York and work in Philly, you know? You got to work in Jersey. You got to work in all these places.
It's a lot of that going on. People live in PA.
So therefore,
then I got to go work in Jersey.
This is what the problem is. White people, when they have an investment or something like that, the last thing they're thinking about is providing opportunities for Black America. So we're forced to leave our areas to work in their neighborhoods, right? Some of us have to move, right? That's what my family did. We had to move to upstate New York, right? And what that happens is, what we're doing is abandoning the community, right? The community is left with no role models, no nothing, you know? And so how can you talk about building a community when you can't keep people there to work and live, you know? So that's why I said, when African immigrants come over here and say, oh, Black America, yeah, all the wealth and all the power, all the money is concentrated in the white areas, you know? If you come here and you move to a predominantly white area, of course you're going to do better than the average Black person, because they say, well, just guys move. Those are our homes.
Yeah, it's our home.
Those are home. We got a stake in those communities. That's our family. That's where we came from, you know? Only thing we didn't have was opportunity, you know? So therefore, what we're saying is we should just be like Black immigrants, just move out to the white suburbs and whatnot and just abandon who we are. We can't do that. I mean, our family did that, but I think I regret that, you know? I regret moving. I mean, my family did the best they could to raise us, whatever like that. But I think about it now, man. I said, I miss growing up around my cousins. I miss growing up around my family. And we're way upstate New York or whatnot because my father's job and everything. And I'm like, you know?
Y'all moved to white suburb?
Yeah, I went to where I had to, you know. My father has a job, you know. And so I had to move there. You know, we had no choice, you know. I would have loved to have been to graduate from Forest Hills and Queens, whatever like that, you know, my cousins, everything like that. Because Forest Hills, Queens, like this, they had a racially balanced school. That was the best high school in the world. I went there one day, right?
In New York City, you got a Black middle class.
New York City. Queens is like a Black
American. I'm talking about Black American.
Yeah.
The whole East Coast. What do you mean?
I'm from the South, but like, you know. So how they look? They make it seem like East Coast. They got Caribbeans.
They try to create this nonsense. There's no Black American. My family's still in New York, you know.
But how they make it seem? The Caribbean people that come from New York City, that come down south, how they make it seem? How they run in New York?
No, that's a lie.
Black people in New York. That's just what anybody would do. You know what I mean? That's just meeting you in your town. Like, they would obviously say that, you know, they people run it.
Check this out. When you go to South Jamaica, Queens, you got rows and rows of housing that people paid for, you know, that people bought back in the 1950s, and they're all paid for, you know. So all these people basically came from Harlem, and they came from the Deep South from the 1920s. South Jamaica, Queens, you know. So the majority, and 90% of people are African American, Black American from the South. You know, that's it. So what I was saying about Forest Hills, Queens, was they basically, the school was a quarter of every race. My cousin told me, it was a quarter Black, a quarter Spanish, a quarter Asian, and a quarter white. So there was no one group of thing like that. But they all got along, Forest Hills and Queens and whatnot. But you know, I wanted to go to that school so bad. I talked to my cousin's principal, and he was like, you know, well, yeah, if you move down here with your cousin, my family did not want me to move to the city. I was like, let me spend my high school years down here because I was having so much fun in the city. I did not want to go back upstate New York where all these white people and racist shit. I did not want to do that shit, you know. So I used to resent that shit, you know. But you know, I mean, I got peace with it now. But I was saying, why do we friggin' every time we got? It's almost like we got to be near white people to make it. But black immigrants don't mind doing it. They come here, they move into the whitest suburbs, right? And they basically get along with white people, don't say nothing, whatever like that, ignore racism, and they find heaven, you know. But black people, we got to freaking hold down communities that our ancestors established, you know, Queens, Brooklyn, Long Island, Connecticut, Mount Vernon, New York, Yonkers.
Strongholds. We got to hold down the strongholds.
Yeah, these are
Connecticut
black
too. They got black.
strongholds. We got
What?
down.
Oh,
learned something new.
strongholds, bro.
And Connecticut too.
Yeah, Connecticut. Yeah.
Yup, Massachusetts,
African Americans
Boston,
in Connecticut, bro.
Massachusetts, Boston, yeah.
yeah, bro.
Yeah, Boston,
Boston.
Roxbury's been there for 300 years. Black community in Roxbury's been there for 300 years. Nantucket is all black, you know. Fort Lee, New Jersey, that's a black community, you know. Fort Lee, New Jersey.
What?
My boy Ilya, right? My boy Ilya, him and I same age, right? He was a millionaire by the time he was 21. That's old black money, you know. His parents all gave him the money to buy his first tow truck, and he had bought a fleet of 10 on towing on the Garden State Parkway in New Jersey. He was a millionaire by the time he was 21. My boy Ilya.
Yeah, bro. I'm in New Jersey, bro. Everybody black has money out here, bro. Like I've never really
In New
seen
Jersey?
broke black.
Yeah,
A broke black person.
Different things.
Like I've never
Our
seen that
whole
before,
black
bro.
community's in
Hold on,
Jersey.
I'm getting different things though, cause like I said, a couple years ago, I met another chick. She was Nigerian, Igbo from New Jersey. She said the black Americans were stagnant over there, or some shit.
Oh man, they always
Nah,
say
cause bro,
that.
the Nigerian people like they hate us, bro. Like they got like a weird
For real?
inferiority
They
complex with us.
they
Yeah,
wish they
out
could
here.
be us. That's all that is, man. You
Damn,
know?
I ain't learned. Cause growing up, I used to think like West Coast blacks and like blacks in the tri-state were like the immigrants, but like one of
No,
y'all.
no, it's Black America. The tri-state's still
Damn.
black. You know,
What the
Lincoln
fuck?
University, all that stuff like that. You know, all that's Hofstra University in Queens.
What?
It's
Okay.
all black, bro. You know, it's black.
Man.
Yeah, and we still sticking together. You feel me? Like we not adopting no, other race
They culture,
ideologies
none of
and stuff like that. Yeah, like we still
So
want.
Hempstead, go to Hempstead, Long Island, Amityville, Hempstead, Wyandanch. These are all black enclaves and cities. You know,
Yeah.
Sag Harbor, Baldwin. These are all black African American nations. You know, stands. You know.
I didn't know that. That's great.
So don't let anybody tell you that we're not in New York. That's a lie. You know.
All right. Nah, it made it seem like that.
Of course, everybody wants to steal our identity. You know, they want to steal our identity, make it seem like you see a picture of a guy eating a rat. And it's African American. The immigrants in there, it's African American. How the fuck you guys? On one hand, we're not in New York, but every time somebody fucks up, it's an African American. You know. So like I said, the bottom line is we can't let this happen. We gotta protect. People think that, even though I talk about Napstan, I still say we better fight for what we built in America. You know, I tell them nobody give up on America, give up on what we built in America. Hell no. You know, what we built in America, we gotta preserve. You know, and fight for what's ours. You know.
Yeah, the Nigerians are like the invasion of the body snatchers, man. They want to clone us and be us. You know
Yo, who
Yeah,
said
man.
that? He not lying. Wow, yo, that's for real.
Yeah, somebody.
I mean, you gotta understand it a little bit. I mean, like, first thing first, like they feel like I grew up. I know a lot of Nigerians, so I know a little bit. They feel like they the number. They feel like they the number one, the superior to black. You know what I mean? They feel like
when they come here, they see the reality. They're like,
yeah,
we
it's
ain't
all
shit.
projection, brother. That's
you know
all
what I mean?
projection.
You gotta understand, like Nigerians, they the largest number of black people on earth. You know what I mean? So they feel like they could bulldoze all other black people. You know, like when they come, like they come in a setting, especially if they come in a setting, like let's say they come to America. Oh yeah, we're gonna get our numbers up and we're gonna bulldoze. You know what I mean? That's how they,
A lot of it could be our fault though. Cause
But it's not gonna work though, bro. Cause like at the end of the day, we gotta keep it for real. Being African is kind of corny, bro. Like no lie.
It is. The bottom line, you're right. And the bottom line, the only thing cool about Africa is when we embrace it. You know.
but
Well,
I
we
feel
always
like
wanted to
our
make
numbers
it-
should be higher though.
No, it's brother. It ain't about numbers, man. Look at the Jewish population. Less is more. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather have 4 real niggas, like 4 quarters than 100 pennies. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Less is more.
Oh well.
Yeah,
You know
which
what I'm saying?
because the bottom line is this: Black America, basically, the story of America. America can't even help itself, right? Every time when white people think about Black people, everything will lose to civil rights, slavery, and stuff like that. What Nigerians do is they present themselves as an alternative, right? And sometimes white people like the novelty of talking to a Black man, not worrying about slavery, blah 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 blah. That's fine. But after a while, white people are like, yo, look, man, they like going back to what they know. You know, they like going back to Nigerians only counting on their favor of white people, right? And they're thinking if that's their favorite, if that's their calling card, white people, they're gonna lose. Because white people are like this. White people really don't like either one of us, you know. They don't like none of us, you know. And so as soon as Nigerians realize that, white people don't like them as much as they don't like us, and they only being using, they use Nigerians against us, you know. And then when they're done using them, they throw them out the door, like, oh, we don't need you no more, you know. But Nigerians figure that shit out because the bottom line is this: no white man wants them dating their daughters, you know. That's the thing. The whole thing about America, we understand something. Reality is of America is this: all the racism, brutality we've suffered has to do with their fear of interracial marriage, not just interracial marriage or interracial fear of Black men sleeping with white women. You know, that's what this is all based on. That's why we're enslaved. That's why we're degraded. Everything basically because their number one fear is their baby making machine, which is a white woman, be turned on by Black men, right? So
Yep,
therefore,
and they love the cuckold with Black men too. That's a sickness they got.
yeah, they love. You've seen that, right? You know what I'm saying? I don't have to tell everybody you watch porn or whatever like that. We all know. You know, they always want to see a Black man with their woman and fantasize about that. I don't know what the hell this sickness is. Something unique to America culture, you know. And the bottom line is this: the Nigerians don't understand that. They don't understand this sick obsession.
They don't understand the social and political nuance of America.
They don't. They don't understand that at all. They think it's come over here.
They think it's just fun and games. They don't know.
No, it's real. It's dangerous.
Real. This is life and death.
Hey, but the thing is, when they see the white man over in Africa, he's bringing wheat, he's bringing religion, he's bringing aid, he's bringing medicine. See, they don't live in the belly of the beast like we do. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I'm here in Liberia, right? And I'm like this. And years ago when I first came here, I didn't see a lot of white guys here. You know, now, I'm gonna tell you right now, Liberia got the finest women on the fucking planet, man. God damn, they're sexy, they're hot. But you be seeing these badass fucking Liberian girls, and they be out with these old, fat, dumpy white guys. I'm like, what the fuck is going on, man? I'm like, what the hell, man? I be like, man, what the hell is going on with this shit? It's not
the
right.
French and the British.
And be Americans too, you know?
It's mainly Americans, a lot of Americans. A lot white Americans know more about Liberian and Black.
Yeah, and they want to make a play. White Americans basically they get nervous when they see me. You know what I mean? I try to be like that, but they get nervous. They know I'm Black American. They know.
They know you gonna give the game, Kyler.
So basically, when I'm looking at them, right, they just look all scared and nervous.
Yeah, they scared that you gonna tell the native people and all the other.
They know that I know their game. I know what they're trying to do.
Another game.
They know I know their game. You know.
Yeah, they know that you see them as a vampire. Everybody else don't.
Exactly. That's the way I be looking at them. Like, you know.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm looking at motherfuckers like, you know, why are you here?
Especially Collar. Especially if they see you in
like,
hold on, Collar too. And you know what scared them more? If they see a group of Black American men. Oh man.
That's why I said I want to do this tour, man. That's gonna be something powerful, man. You start seeing large groups of Black Americans, like me and these other guys.
Like
I forgot let me find the video. They're real good, cool brothers. Let me find video. Let me find the video. Hold up.
Go out there like 5, 6 deep, 10 deep. Oh man, they're gonna be running away.
I love it. I think we need to be here in this country. We need to make a stand here in Liberia. You know, before we have an African stand, we need to make a stand here in Liberia, man. We owe it to our ancestors. You know. Let me see.
Yeah, the white boys do the same thing in Asia. They be handcuffing their hoes when they see Black Americans. That's why they get pissed at the passport bros going over there.
Yeah,
Oh
so
yeah.
they feel they're entitled to all the pussy in the world, man. No matter what
Bro,
it
I
is.
said it millions of times. Yo, if racism didn't exist, we'd have all the women. Like, no lie. Though that's the only reason why these other races even have they women is because it's frowned upon for them to deal with us.
The white
Exactly.
man just get women because he got power and he got the bag. That's it. He ain't got nothing
He
on
got,
us.
he
Right?
got, and he
Literally,
got,
that's it. That's it, bro. If he didn't have that shit,
too.
he'd have no bitches, bro.
Thank
Literally.
y'all for
And we get
tapping in,
bitches
man.
off
We
GP.
really
You know what I'm
appreciate
saying?
it.
All right, these brothers right here, I met these brothers the other day, a couple of times. They're always in Ala Lagoon right now. Me and these brothers right here, we talk all the time. They live in Liberia. They're basically encouraging black
We
people to
appreciate it. We just
move
want
to
to talk about
Liberia.
a little bit. I hope our
They've been to
audience
Senegal, they've been to several
check
countries,
out
but they
voice a
love
little bit.
Liberia.
Is we want to talk a little bit about why Liberia, as opposed to any other West African or African country, as an African American. I don't know, Dentut. My name is Sakar. Aha. I am Dentut. Ray. So I don't know if you want to start.
I mean, why Liberia? Well,
Right.
the significance of Liberia is enormous. I mean, first and foremost, Liberia is a country that was founded by African Americans. And that right there should be a mouthful. That right there should have you wondering, founded by African Americans? Yes, of course.
And I'm sure a lot of people know already, because it's easily researched, and it was 1821, right? When the ACS, right, American Colonization Society,
Exactly.
wanted to create an opportunity in Africa for freed slaves. Land was purchased in West Africa, in what's now called Monrovia, the capital of Liberia. And in 1822, the first freed slaves arrived and landed on Providence Island. And if I'm correct, they said January 7th, 1822.
January 7th, exactly.
So continue. I just wanted to fill that part in.
Well, yeah.
Saying it's founded by African Americans.
Well, which is so significant. So the dates, when you look at the dates, you look at that it's been 200 years of African Americans founding such a place on the continent of Africa. Because as an African American, it's kind of like we feel displaced even in America. But then to know that you have a place that you could call home, even the continent's home, but to have a place that was founded by African Americans is incredible. And then like Obama, you would think was the first black African American president, but in Liberia, there were several African American presidents.
Exactly.
Presidents that came from America that became presidents Africans Americans that came from America that became presidents in Liberia.
Exactly.
So that becomes a thing to think about, and something that we should want to pass on to our children's children. That should be a conversation like Christopher Columbus, George Washington. That should also be a part of the narrative.
Yeah, it's definitely a part of our rich history as Africans and African Americans. Talking about. So I definitely want to say I agree with that, and it's something that is not taught. And why is that important? And why Liberia? And then this will kind of go into us traveling and going to the gate of no return, Gorée Island. And basically being told of all of these atrocities that took place to Africans that were kidnapped and taken over to the shores of America. When you actually come here and begin to visit the historical sites here, it's the narrative is the exact opposite. So now you're talking about being welcomed. You're talking about the J.J. Roberts Monument. You're visiting that. You're visiting Providence Island where they actually landed. Then you're going to visit the what's it called, the Providence Baptist Church, that Declaration of Independence for the Republic of Liberia that was signed, and so these are some of the reasons that after us traveling to a few different countries on the continent, we decided Liberia. And there's some other reasons as well. And I think if you want to go into the actual opportunities,
the opportunities are enormous. If you are an entrepreneur or someone that want to relocate your business or create a business, a sister company or a sister business here in Liberia, and have like a franchise. Case in point, like in Atlanta, you have This Is It. I can see a This Is It restaurant doing very well in a place like Liberia, and before versus Kentucky Fried Chicken or what is it called, Pizza Hut, or not knocking them, but This Is It is an African American business. So to bring that to a place like Liberia, it just makes so much sense.
Or like a Supreme Fish. Matter of fact, I was talking to somebody that knew one of the founders or owners of Supreme Fish, but which is a popular franchise.
Nah, no more restaurants. We tired of that.
Because I didn't see it up north like that.
Right.
But yes,
It'll be good.
KFC,
It'll be good. No problem with
is
that.
in like Cote d'Ivoire.
It is.
Ivory Coast, KFC, Burger King.
Just spread it out to
Yeah, so
different
like,
counties,
so-
and they'll be good.
All right, but you guys get the picture,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
She's good.
I get the
That's a good
picture.
idea.
Yeah, good brothers, bad investment plan.
Yeah, well, that's where you got to start off somewhere, But,
Somewhere, bro. Somewhere, bro.
Nah, I know,
ain't
but I'm
bad.
tired of restaurants, bro. You feel me? That's like
Nah,
what-
it ain't a bad thing. Once the new developments go up, they're gonna need restaurants, so that ain't bad.
Yeah, because let me tell you, Liberia is basically.
They're still developing, so
Let me tell you something. You go down Tubman Boulevard, there's so many properties and buildings going up. It's like unreal. I've never seen so much construction in my life. There's buildings going on, and also these buildings be having like nice restaurants on the bottom of them, stuff like that. It's just
got clubs.
unbelievable.
Some of them got clubs on them,
Night
stores.
clubs up top, one night rooftop clubs. There's so many rooftop clubs here. It's unreal, So it's like unreal. So much here. The bottom line is this: real estate, you can't go wrong here because it's hard to find rooms and hotels. All the hotels be booked up, man. It's unreal. You never see in America a hotel booked up. We're all booked up. That's good, man. I said, look, man, y'all
They
make
love hospitality over there. They
What
love
about gas
hospitality.
stations? They can't make any gas stations over there.
Yeah, they got gas stations here. They got regular gas
Oh
stations.
no,
You
but
can-
that's a good investment too, bro. What you saying?
Yeah, that's
Yo,
what I'm
you
saying.
can go
It-
to- you
instead
can
of
have a gas
restaurants.
station here, you will make a freaking fortune.
You'll make a fortune over there doing that too, bro. I'm telling you.
Yeah, we should get
That's
into
all
that.
Check this out. Check this out. I was thinking about a gas station on the highway in Cape Mount. Imagine that. Like, carve out a gas station right there because there's no gas. There's no gas station in Robertsport, right? You know that?
No rest stops. No rest. That's a good idea.
No
No
rest
rest
And
stops.
stops.
imagine if
Bruh.
you just
Yeah,
work
that's
it,
not right
you would
there,
take
bro.
all
Right.
profit.
If you work,
Oh
you
my
take a
God,
profit.
man.
I'm telling you.
I'm trying to get a
So?
gas station over here in America. Like, this is
Yeah,
real
you
profitable.
build a gas station in Liberia, you'll get rich. Trust me, overnight you'll get rich.
Hey,
Or a
Colin,
car
what's the main
wash.
industry in Liberia?
What you say?
Or like, what's the main industry over there?
Well,
Fishing,
right now, see,
farming?
Liberia is just recovering, right? But do you know Liberia one time used to be it attracted the largest investment in Black Africa, which is the Bong mines, iron ore mines, and whatnot, back in 1960. The largest investment in Black Africa, that was larger than investments in Ghana, Nigeria, all that, South Africa combined. Liberia had the political strength, right? Barely 100 years old to pull a major investment like that, which is amazing, the Bong mine. And the plan was in the future to become a Bong steel, make steel, but that coup of 1980 arrested all that, So yeah, as cottage industry is a big over here. Furniture and cabinet making. Do you know Liberia is basically all the nice furniture you see in the storefronts here are made by Liberian craftsmen. You know that, Dave? Liberia is not a big bed.
I got a couple carpenters. They go get the wood from Firestone. I got a couple carpenters I know that just make.
Yo, check this out. They can make you a bed. If you tell them what the design you want, they make you a nice ass bed. I had a bed made.
Oh,
I had a bed made 2 years ago. And we have it shipped to my house that I got. We had it shipped today. It was in Broadville, but I had it shipped today. The bed is nice, man. Custom made. Bed making, furniture making, all the stuff like that is possible. Everything you see in America that normally white people do, they do over here. Bicycle repair, bicycle manufacturing. There's all small tailors, everything.
I I was looking into what you're saying, Colin. Like good business ideas, like you said, manufacturing. It's a great way too to get into Liberia too. The markets over there, the manufacturing.
Exactly.
Also,
If you want, if
yeah,
you could do manufacturing in Liberia, invest in the biggest thing selling right now is furniture making. You know, furniture
if you
making,
could
because
do
there's so many people moving in and they need furniture and stuff like that. Furniture goes real quick. You know, furniture making.
another thing too, build like building supplies, like building
Yeah, but
supplies.
they got city builders, you know. But the
Yeah, you
city
know,
builders good. Just go to city builders. You got all the building material right there in city builders. They're owned by Lebanese,
a
but
lot of stuff.
I think in the future there should be a Liberian or black people get there. Because
Yeah.
you know something? The Lebanese don't actually what the Lebanese make. They make nothing, you know. The bottom line, the city builders, you know, it all comes from China, Dave.
What?
All that city build stuff it comes from China. But they know how to it's all about logistics. They know how to bring it in, sort it, and market it and stuff like that. It's a business. Actually, think about like I tell people talk about Nigerians. I have not seen Nigerians do anything complicated in my life. Business is complicated. It takes a lot. You don't just get money just like that. It takes you maybe years before you see a profit. How many black people or Africans will take 3 years to put into a business, hard work, like everything, and then after 3 years you might see a little bit of profit. Then 3 years from now you might see a little bit. 3 years from now you might see a little bit. You got to give 10 years before you even really start making any money. How many Nigerians will do that? None. So please tell people telling me about Nigerians. I know they make stuff fast money. You know, they put something in, make money tomorrow. That's it. Same thing with Black America. You know, I know the black man's mind.
Facts, yeah.
That's why we leave the complicated stuff to the whites, the Chinese, and the Lebanese, people like that. You know,
Exactly.
I want to change that mindset. If city builders was owned by Nigerians, I would give them the most respect, but I know it's not. It's owned by Lebanese, and Lebanese are getting that stuff from China. Building materials, pillars, everything like steel beams, everything, toilets, whatever you need to build a house, city builders got it, concrete to lay cement, to build your driveway, everything you need is in city builders, That's why you got how people in Liberia, man, remodeling the houses are brand new, With the China Mall, you can go in there and get refrigerators, you can get everything, and it says stop the cap. Am I telling the truth or not?
What about the cheap products?
No, you don't see anybody in Nigeria doing any complicated business long term.
I don't know. I just
I don't
know Nigerians feel of like scamming, really, right? Like
they make good money.
no
They
disrespect.
They usually like a partnership with a major business. So, okay, I'm Okoye, I'm a thing like that, but I'm part of a consortium. I'll take my little 10% interest, and next thing you know, if the consortium is worth billions of dollars, and by fact that he becomes rich, that's what I usually do in Africa,
Yeah, but like it's crazy, like you said, like that's just the black man's mind in general. Like even black
it's
Americans,
black people's
do
mind in general. I
partnerships.
know. It's not just Nigeria.
shit like that. Yeah, what quick
Nigerians are no different from any
satisfaction.
other Negro on the planet. We want shortcuts. We want easy way out. That's all it is. We don't want to do the complicated. What's going to take to liberate Africa is real competent businessmen. You know what I'm saying?
Complicated work, complicated problems.
Complicated businessmen, hard work. And we're serious about this. But in the end, it'll be ours. If we don't, this is going to be a Lebanon. It's going to be a little Lebanon, a little India, a little China, and a little America. We're going to lose. We're going to lose Liberia, and we're going to lose Africa, and we don't change our mindset. That's it in a nutshell.
Brothers, I always seeing brothers out there in Liberia, bro. I'm always running into brothers.
Yeah, there's a lot of black Americans here. A lot of people.
The only thing, like you said, Colin, we gotta set it up because we gotta have the network set up, man.
Yeah,
we got everybody in the
directory here, and they don't want really nothing to do with other black Americans.
No, that gotta stop. That gotta stop, man. I always,
They think they're gonna get the Native people mad. Native people mad are tribal, so they expect us to be the same way,
Yeah.
So they always say, yeah. So a lot of Africans tell me, like my boy Pandini from he's a black nationalist from Namibia. That's my boy. He's a BAO guy. He told me, he said, he's been telling me for years, black Americans should come to Namibia and build their own enclave like the Chinese. We'd rather have you guys than the Chinese. You guys should build your own enclave, you know? So in other words, people tell you, yeah, you guys need to come together, stick together, and you can be more productive. But when you got black people going to Ghana, especially in their numbers, they should be way more successful than they are. But they're not because they're not working together, you know? But a lot of people, Africa, come from that ghetto culture, you know, the ghetto culture, there's no love in that ghetto culture. That's why you gotta have the Pan-African Black nationalist culture come from a more civilized point of view in Black America. You know, you can't have that ghetto shit, you know? So that's why Akon didn't work, you know?
We need our intellectuals.
Yeah, bro. And yo, that Akon dude, bro, he's a grifter, bro.
Nah,
Like,
that shit wasn't gonna work, man. That shit wasn't gonna work from the door.
You talking about in Africa, if you're African American, you'll be a millionaire in like 1 year.
It's just because like I know he doesn't have that much money because one of his wives, I messed with her niece, and she would tell me that, you know, like they don't really have money like that. I'm like, what? It's like I knew it. Like once you start having, you know, a bunch of kids and wives, it's kind of hard for you to really, you know, be a millionaire.
Yeah, other money he got from China, you know what I'm saying?
That shit wasn't gonna work. That was a really a con city. It was a con from the door.
Con, yeah.
Yeah,
you know, it was
why did we pick up on that? Wow.
And then you had what's the other guy, the singer rapper? What's his guy? What's his name? From California. Went to Burkina Faso.
I don't know. Nipsey Hussle? I'm not sure.
No. He went to Kenya. What's his name? Oh, what's his name? Rapper. Not choke, no joke.
I don't know, Kyle. I didn't know rappers going to Kenya.
I don't remember these rappers. Mufasa knows who is. Who's that? That guy that went to Burkina Faso and in Kenya, that rapper, Mufasa, that bought property. Mufasa knows. I know he knows. You know, forgot.
Oh, you gotta give us some more, Kyle. I don't know.
Yeah, he went there, and then he got caught up in $10 million. Yeah, JT the bigger figure. Yeah, that's
yeah. I would have never guessed that nigga.
Didn't I tell you Mufasa? Remember it? Did I tell you?
Yeah, he was crazy. He was some country dude too, I think. Yeah.
What'd he do?
He went to first. He went to Burkina Faso. Where one of his boys got shot by the Burkina Faso police. Security. He went there. They said, "Look, man, don't go up here." And I guess he tested these African military, and the dude shot him or whatever like that. And then also, what happened was it was right before Traore took over. He heard there was a coup, and he bolted and went to Kenya, right? And he got some Kenyan to some scam. He's a good guy. Then he was with the Nation of Islam with Farrakhan and whatnot. You know, I went to boil it over. And everybody's like, where my money at when I'm like, dude, man, you know, you don't know nothing about how Africa works, man. The only country in Africa where you could actually own property like that is Liberia, you know?
Yeah, that's the only place.
That's the only place in Africa, really. I think Angola, too. I think Angola and South Africa as a modern, and Southern Africa, you know? But other than that, you go to East Africa, West Africa and whatnot, you know, these places that tribalized and whatnot, you can't just listen to somebody talking about you got land. You know, until they show you those property deeds and everything like that, you don't say give your money to nobody talking about you got land. Because what it is this. Somebody say they'll have like 100 acres, right? They'll say, yeah, it's yours, right? Do what you ever want to do it. But the bottom line is just a lease, you know? At any time they could take it back from you, and they're not parting ways. They're not giving they don't give away land like that in Africa. You know, not for your little bit of money, you know? People thought they could send in $2,000 in and get 2 acres of land. I want my land. People never owned a house or anything, barely a car in America. Talk about they want to buy land in Africa. I mean, we got to teach our people better. Like I said, in Liberia, I would say come here. Me personally, I'm just going to rent for a year, 2 years. You know, got a property, it's mine. I'm gonna rent it because I don't want to do all the maintenance. I did all the work to the house and everything, painted it, new flooring and everything, new walk-in bath showers and everything like that. Did all that shit, sink, everything. It's gonna look nice. It's gonna be a nice pad, you know, carpet in the living room when I look with a pit. Drop down pit in the living room, whatnot. It's gonna be nice. Nice furniture, everything. It's gonna be nice. But that's all I need, right? Because it's like this. It's like to rent there is like $3,000 for 1 year. $3,000 for 1 year. To me,
What? 3,000 for 1 year?
$3,000 for 1 year.
That's crazy, bro.
And so the bottom line, nice house and everything. The thing is you gotta put all your stuff in there. You gotta put your stove, refrigerator. But the stove I'm getting is a gas stove is only $199. The refrigerator I'm getting is only $250, And
That's
and then
perfect.
PC unit, it's like another $200. That's it. The furniture was homemade, handmade. That was $350. But other than that, man, I already got a bed and everything like that. Everything else, so little knickknacks and everything like that. Yeah, but like I said, so I didn't really enjoy it this time, but I'll be there next year when I come.
Yeah. I said, how much would it be like if you got everything included? Like probably what, 5,000?
That's really rare. Tell them, right, Dave. Because you could look if you could basically go to Liberia and you can go to China Mall and get all that stuff for cheap. It's not like you buying a refrigerator here for $1,200, man. A refrigerator there is only like $250.
Yeah,
A stove is only. So a lot of times people buy this stuff themselves, and stuff like that. So you buy the furniture and stuff like that, and you're good to go. But yeah, for a whole year, man. So a whole year, I don't have to worry about it. All I do is pay like $75 a month for the internet and the water and stuff like that. Services, and sanitation pickup. Nice little community complex out there. Gated communities, gated, So nice and comfortable and everything. That's the way I like it, man. I'm not here to get into investing a lot of money because it's going to take a lot of money to buy a house. And I don't know why people think they're going to spend a lot of money in Africa. Just rent for a couple of years.
Yeah,
Put
just
your
rent.
more people
It's
get
better
into
to rent. Just rent for a couple of years.
rent for a couple of years. I'll say it like that. Rent for a couple of years. Put your money in something worthwhile, like import exporting. Where you can buy stuff, buy gold. And stuff like get into something like that, gold, manufacturing and stuff like that, whatever it is.
Logistics too. Logistics is good,
Logistics, yeah, shipping. You know what? Another thing you get in Liberia is transportation. If you had a pickup truck, like a fleet of pickup trucks, you get rich.
Oh yeah.
Pickup truck. You had a fleet of pickup trucks, like five pickup trucks, you will get rich. And a couple of cars. Let's say 3 trucks, and like 2 cars, and you'll be rich. You're in business. Your transportation is everything in this country.
Right, yeah. What if you get like a self-service car wash? I'm pretty sure you'll be a millionaire in like 2 years, right?
I mean, probably, but I don't know. The people don't really carry around all that money. I mean, you'll definitely sell, but I don't know. Car washes are expensive, man. I used to own a car wash. You know that?
Oh, you did? Was it a self-service one or was it like manual?
Where they drive through. The people know. You take the thing, they get out the car, and the machine pulls the car through and washes it and everything like that.
Okay.
And your guys on there. I have a guy vacuuming, and I had a guy washing the tires, and then it goes through the machine, the place, and then it comes out. Then I have 2 guys in the end drying it.
So what would you say? You would say self-service is good or bad?
Well, self-service is all right, but it's about, like the people come up, but you got to understand something. Water is expensive, and like,
yeah. That's what I mean. Like owning a car wash. So you would say good investment, bad investment?
Not good investment right now.
No, not good.
Okay.
Not good.
Not there. It's not there yet, bro. One day it will be, but not now. A good investment in Liberia is a gas station. That's a good investment.
Yeah, gas station is great. Gas station is great, especially if you got a good location.
Yeah,
because you was talking about the water being expensive. I was like, I didn't really think about that because you do use.
Well, yeah, water is a short supply in the country and whatnot. You got to take.
No running water. There's no running water there, so that's what makes it expensive.
Yeah, so bottom line is you got to put the water in the tanks that be treated and stuff like that, so it's potable, whatever like that. So it's a lot to it, water. It's not like here we got a water system in America. We got plenty of water.
We got our water commissioners working 24 hours. It ain't like that over there.
Yeah, we got to find that black guy in Detroit that can make water out of thin air. You seen that?
Yeah, I gotta look into that.
Yeah, we got to find his blueprint. We'll be millionaires.
I gotta look into that more. I see a lot of stuff. I'm very skeptical about stuff I see online. I'm not doubting it, nothing like that, but I'm just dealing with Negroes, man. I'm like, when it comes down to
Nah, he was like an army vet, bro. He was official. Like, but bro, he's basically just made like a huge ass humidifier. So it's kind of legit. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like a humidifier. Like, it was just capturing, like the mist and shit like that. Like, I think they do that in like third world countries too. Like, they got like nets and shit. Then they'll catch the mist, and that should like pure, like give them water and shit.
I tell you, another thing is what I was looking at is here in Liberia. If I can basically go to like like Philadelphia and get one of their old dump trucks or garbage trucks or whatnot and bring it over here, man, that'd be great. Wouldn't it, Dave?
Yeah, you could just put that shit on the boat. Yeah.
The dump truck.
Yeah, but the bottom line, I gotta find a city that's willing to donate one, two of them, and then Liberia will have its own sanitation truck or whatnot, and you could have a massive cleanup. It'd be good. The government pay for it. It'd be good. That'd be another business. Because I know several businesses. My ex-driver, Rob, man, he basically had his own business. Like he said, it's just uniforms. He wanted me to invest in his business, and I'm like, I wish I could. Want to invest in his own business and stuff like that. And he wanted to get his own dream about getting his own business where he got trash collectors and charge the people picking up trash, everything like that, and have the government get government contracts and building contracts and move trash. But unfortunately, they don't have the people, the willpower to be like, let me find some funding for this young man, so he can do his thing, it's a different culture, man. I don't know whether I think our presence there will shame them into doing the right thing, because it seems to me when Liberians are left to themselves, they don't give a shit about the average people. They act right when we're around. When Black America, we're around watching, suddenly there's money to be spent, suddenly like that, because they know we're watching, And what we see in Liberia, we don't like what we see a lot of times. I don't like seeing children on the street, which they should be in school, selling candy and stuff like that in the middle of traffic. I don't like that, I had this boy today, little boy, it just broke my heart. Little boy, he was like, sir, you got any money? I said, I don't only carry cash. I said, sir, kid, I don't have money. He came with me. I said, kid. My driver was like, get away. I said, don't talk to him like that, right? And his father's blind, right? And then also I went into the store, bought some stuff, right? And I came out, I said, did that little boy walk by yet? He said, I think he saw. I said, let's find him, right? So I tried my best to find this kid. So I had some money. I went to the lady and I asked for some change. I said, let me give me like 5 singles, And so I wanted to give him that, give that boy and his father some money, That's just the way I am. I said, look, that's a little boy. He's hungry, He's not a bad kid, just poor, You got to have sympathy and empathy for people, And one thing I won't do is judge people, I won't judge people by their circumstances, But just for the grace of God, there would be I be, That's the difference between me and a lot of other people. I don't sit there and judge people. Like I said, if I see Black people in the hood, in the ghetto, that's not doing well, I'm not going to forget to judge them like Nigerians do. They judge Black people in America not doing well. Like I see Nigerians not doing well. I know there's circumstances. People can't help their situation, So I'm not going to mock them. We ever had that sort of humanity when we get a lot of places, And never judge somebody in a situation. Sometimes people can't help their situation that they're in. And I know for a fact of the matter is, man, it could be the leadership. It could be, maybe it's just circumstances. Maybe Liberia has not had had any luck yet, Or maybe Liberia's day is coming, But right now, the people are suffering. I do all I can, if you're not gonna help them, just don't make their life hard.
I feel bad, for the suffering over there, man. It's just.
It is suffering,
Every time I see the suffering, I think about the failed 1980 coup, man. It was
which one? Here's Elvis saying.
Yeah. Let him come up. Yeah, let him come up.
Yeah, come up here, Elvis, so I can knock you upside the head, Just like white people, Carl thinks a charity case. No, I didn't say it's a charity case.
No, you're talking to a man that hasn't been in his own country in 6 years, 6, 7 years. So leave this guy alone. He's a nut job.
Yeah, and Kyler would have
Yeah.
recorded that, if he was, trying to be a charity.
I see that all the time, Kyler. Where you saw him at? Where you saw the kid at? Where you saw him at? You saw him like when you was going towards town, or you was coming from town?
It was on Tubman Boulevard in Syncor, Congo Town.
Yeah, Senko. Yeah, when you going towards, I could see that little boy.
I was headed towards Congo Town. Congo Town, Old Congo Town Road.
He's always out there.
That Stop and Shop, the Lebanese place, and got some sodas, got some change. And
by the time it'd be a little kid with his father. He's blonde, right? They got a camera.
Yeah. You see them.
I know. I see. I see him out there.
And he got the one with the lady, the mother. You see the one with the mother.
I didn't see that one.
Okay, every time
I know that little boy with the kid and his father. He always with a cane. His father always behind him.
Yeah, with a walker. I know. Yeah. So
Elvis don't know that because he don't go back home.
So the bottom line is, I am not sitting there trying to friggin' look down on nobody, Elvis. I'm not you. I see a human being. I see a person. I don't give a damn about that. And I felt bad that I didn't have any money on me. That's what I felt bad about. So I went there and got changed on that. I said, "Where's my driver? Where's this kid at?" And we frantically started looking for this kid. When we couldn't find him, I was like, "Damn!" So tomorrow, when I go to Congo Town, hopefully I can see him again. Him and his father. They always was at that place. You know where Boulevard Palace is?
Yeah.
They always hang out right there. So hopefully I'll see him tomorrow.
Around there.
They always around there. So hopefully I'll see him tomorrow. I make sure I got some change.
And that's one of so many in Liberia. One of so.
Yeah, so I just do what I can to help. So my God put that in my heart to do something when I don't want that kid to be like the world's so cold and whatnot. I want to let him know there's good people out here. Now we're not all like that. We're not all bad people and everything like that. No, I'm not like that. One time I was nobody. I was poor. I was down and out and whatnot. That's where I come from. I come from poverty. So I am not want to look down on anybody. I hate to resent people like Elvis trying to freaking disparage my character like that.
Elvis will get you triggered, Kyler. Elvis will get you triggered. That's all, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You better enjoy your stay out there, man. These brothers.
I got one more contact. I got one more contact. What you saying?
These brothers talking. You got their contact or y'all?
Yeah. What you call it? They got mine. I got his contact. I got what you call the guy.
Yeah, man. I always see brothers out there. I be trying to link up with brothers out there, man. But brothers, they want to do their own thing. They want.
Yeah,
I can't. You can't blame them, Kyler. You come to Africa.
What it is
you want to be free. You know what
it is. When people go to Africa, they don't want to be burdened with the struggle no more.
Yeah.
That's what it is. They're just like, oh, I'm in Africa.
I'm in free. I'm in Africa. I'm seeing all these black people. I'm
so what do I need to worry about racism and building and all that? I don't look at all that shit. Yeah, that's what it is, man.
Yeah,
I get like
this. They would have done their own thing.
I left the struggle in America, man. I'm in Africa, man.
I'm chilling, man, with the fine women. I got my money. I'm out here, man.
Let me tell you something. All you single dudes out there, if you want to see some hot fucking women, holy jeez. This is a freaking country right here. I don't know what it is. God bless these women, man. Liberian women are just so freaking hot. If you were single, man, if you got all you single guys out there, man, jeez.
Yeah, man, Liberia.
Fine ass women out here, man. Jeez. And they're nice and easy to talk to. They'll talk to you hello. They're sweet, got a nice soft voice and everything.
Man. Yeah, man, I'll talk to you.
They'll definitely talk to you, man. They'll definitely talk to you, man, so real nice, real nice.
If they talking to a fat, ugly white man, they're gonna talk to you.
Well, bottom line is this: they basically have these. The thing is, man, the women out here are just bringing women. They be like 21, 22. You talk to them, they sound like young ladies. They don't sound like girls. It's like young ladies. They know all about what it takes to be a woman and stuff like that. It's like unreal. But you know, I got a wife. My wife's Liberian, so I'm satisfied with what I got. But you know, it's nice knowing that these females are out here and whatnot. That's why I tell brothers, whatnot. This is definitely a place if you want to find a relationship or you know, like that. Don't go to the Dominican Republic. Come here. You know, this is where you want to meet a woman. You know. Let's say, Ruth says, "Do you think there's 10,000? There's not 10,000 African Americans in Ghana."
Yo, Carla, I know you was on Diana's show hearing about this identity crisis. I know I want to get back.
Yeah.
I heard the madness on Diana's channel.
I had to go, man. I had to go. Let me
I started getting a headache, man. These guys was giving me a headache, and then when Christy was trying to explain to these guys, it was just giving her a hard time. Trying to, you know.
It doesn't make any logical sense. I asked him,
sad,
if you believe slavery didn't happen, you weren't here. So I asked him, do you believe in reparations? Sure, I believe in reparations. So what are you getting reparations for? Well, you know, no. Reparations, the argument is that we were brought here against our will during the transatlantic slave trade, waiting to work and created America's initial wealth and everything. We suffered the brutality and inhumane, and we never got compensated for our labor. Now you're telling me that you would never.
And they're not going to get reparations. The way they're going about it, you're not going to get the reparations.
They're going to get laughed right out of court, you know.
They're laughed right out of court.
They're going to bring Dane Calloway as a star witness, you know.
I was like, yo, my head started hurting. Like I saw you making your argument, you and Christy making your arguments, and these guys was just talking. Oh my God.
That's how bad it is.
It's that bad. Grown men.
You could tell they never read, never researched, no nothing. You could tell people who just heard something online and ran with it. You know,
they're not cultured. They're not social and politically inclined. They're not cultured. They don't know the world. They don't know how the world.
Not historically inclined, and none of that.
Nothing.
So I basically
and these kids and these guys are raising kids.
That's sad.
We're gonna have to deal with this in the future.
You got a son and son, Dad. Where do we come from? We were the Olmecs, the Britannian, Chicken Wing, Boom Shakalaka tribe. You know, and you're like, okay, Dad. And the kid's going around stupid. And when the kid gets to school and he says that, no, so laughing at him. You know.
Yeah,
that's what I deal with, you know.
The white people gonna be laughing at them. The Spanish people gonna be laughing at them. It's gonna be
the Native Americans gonna be laughing at them. You what? You know?
What?
And they said, yo, he said the slavery was never. He was already here, and everybody's gonna be fucking laughing, you know. You know, like the water boy. I don't know. What's the water boy? You know,
Carlo, I want to ask you a question. Man. What could we do to fix this identity crisis in Black?
Well, the whole idea is the idea that first of all we got to realize take the power out of their hands, right? See, Malcolm X always said this: any movement for liberation of Black people based solely in America is doomed to fail, right? America basically creates this where there's no incentive for you to love being Black because it's defeat, you know? So they know that. They know, white people know they said to bide their time and you're going to fall apart. Or the Nation of Islam, whatever is going to fall apart, you know, inside America, right? But when you say that we are a people, and you lay out your claim, we came here during the transatlantic slave trade on slave ships, or whatever like that. We labor in this country. Out of that, we created, during Jim Crow, we created a whole culture and everything with it like that. We are now a people, a homogenous people. The next phase of our history, right? The next chapter of our history is a journey home, right? What is home? Where we started from. See, once we break ground in the Afghanistan and it starts happening, then people will be like, okay, I guess we did come from Africa, you know? But as long as we stay in America, they can start with this nonsense that, oh, we're Americans. Like, now, you and I, we live in the United States, right? I would love to be just say I'm an American, but it comes with a price. It comes with a price where people try to erase my African heritage. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, that's why I'm resistant to all stuff like that. People ask me, Colin, what you got
They're
against America?
trying to erase what really happened.
They're trying to erase what really happened here. You know, I can't do that. By talking about an Afghanistan tells the world something bad happened in America. It's time to move on. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Other than that means you're not serious. You know? And that's why these people like the Dane Callaways exist, because you're not serious. You can't out-Americanize these people because Dane Callaway and these people love America. See how they kept talking about we were first Americans, this is our country and all stuff like that. Okay, if you want to be America, just join the MAGA movement. You know, just join the MAGA. But they know there's a conflict there. They can't say I love America and believe slavery happened. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So those of us who believe in the Ma'afa that slavery happened understand that I can like America. I can be like, okay, it's cool and everything, but we understand deep down our hole, it's time for us to part ways. One day we're going to have to part ways with America just because of our history, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if we don't think like that, then that means they won.
Yeah.
You can't make that up, you know? Bruce says, Kala, thank God you don't judge people due to circumstances. You only judge people based on your perception of his intellect. Yeah, I know. There's a bunch of idiots, you know? He turns tease. Most of us call us idiots. You know, I only call idiots idiots. I don't call everybody idiots, but when you say stupid stuff, Rudy, sometimes I'm like, you know, like this idea that Rudy has that we should give all the glory to Africa. Look, I love Africa. That's my ancestral homeland. But Black America, our food, culture, music, jazz, everything is our own. Even our politics, Black nationalism, Pan-African is our own. Because if Africans were Black nationalists, we would not be in America. They would have carved out a space for us to come home. So we're the only really Black nationalists in the world, right? Black nationalism.
Kala, that's crazy. Kala. And what you're saying? No, I'm just saying. But no, what you're saying is so true. It's so true because even in Liberia, I haven't even met a Liberian nationalist yet.
They don't believe in Black nationalism. You know,
I don't believe in that. Yeah, I haven't met a nationalist yet. You're right. You know, like somebody
except
like
for my boy Ross. When you meet Ross, when you meet my boy Ross, he's a Liberian that's a Black nationalist. You know, he's just like me.
Yeah,
you know?
like I'm gonna be here, good or bad. I'm gonna build this up. We're gonna get it out the mud. We're gonna do what we got to do here.
Yeah, you gotta connect with Ross. You gotta connect with my boy Ross, man. You know, you gotta connect with him. He's a BAO chapter head in Liberia. He's on fire. Ross is on fire, man. He's a Black nationalist, Pan-Africanist, man. He's on fire. But you talk to him, man. His accent. He don't seem like he's a Liberian with his accent. I think he lived most of his life in Ghana. You know, but he sounds like he's from America. You know, his way he talks, he sounds like you. You know, but he doesn't have a Liberian accent, really. You know, but Ross, that's my guy right there. You know.
Yeah.
But he's a Black nationalist. That's the whole thing. You know, you don't really Africans. You know, they're not Black nationalists. They're just like, you know.
Crazy, that's so crazy.
You know, so it's like, what I need to be a Black nationalist for? I'm already in Africa, you know? So, sorry, that's what it is. G says, well, Colin, what do you think about the United States cut off aid to Africa? Look, the bottom line is this. You had to understand that was coming, you know? The whole thing is this. If you have America that's been giving billions of dollars of aid to Africa, and all they keep doing is seeing the same problems after years. After a while, they're gonna be like, "Hey, look, you know, like that." But the thing is, though, what they should have did was do like a line item veto. You know, where it's basically certain group things that were working, they should have kept on. They'll not just wholeheartedly punish the people of a country because of what the governments did. You know, I don't like that part.
Yeah.
Because what you're saying is the people are in agreement with all the corruption that the government did, you know? We have a responsibility as Americans to the people of Africa, not governments, you know? Well, I thought the USAID was to help people, not governments, you know? So if the money wasn't going to the people, why punish the people? I think that defeats the whole purpose, you know? That defeats the whole purpose. There's got to be ways of you funneling money into Africa without getting into the hands of these corrupt people, you know? So that's what they believe, you know. And so, so cutting off aid to Africa, look, Africans need to pick up each other's slack. If there's so many billionaires in Nigeria, why are there so many poor in Nigeria? Well, I mean, look, let me give you an example. Dave, they say the president of Tinubu of Nigeria is worth $9 billion. So if he's worth $9 billion, why can't he fund the $300 million they lost from the Trump administration for healthcare, whatever?
Yeah, I
If he's
understand.
worth $9 billion, if
He's worth
Daniel
$9 billion.
the president of Tinubu, of course, is worth $9 billion. You know,
Yeah,
so if he's
crazy.
worth $9 billion, how come he can't say, I'm gonna be a guarantor with the money and get the money from somebody, borrow the money as he's a guarantor for $300 million. You know what I'm saying? Whatever Nigeria lost, you know. So the bottom line is this: miss me with all this Nigeria hype, you know. The #1 blacks in the world. Come on, stop it. So tell that to somebody else. Tell that to somebody that was born last year.
$9 billion and he can't fund his own healthcare program.
Yo, like I said, the fun never ends, man. You know, when you got these Nigerians up here, oh, we're the #1 blacks. Oh, please stop it. You know, stop. Until we get like this, like I said, and I want to see Nigerians come up. You know, but they ain't gonna come up on vanity. You know, on shortcuts. You know, I want to see Nigeria really come up. Let me give you an example. Nigeria in the 90s was experimenting in liquefied natural gas. Could have made Nigeria an industrial power to refine and distribute liquefied natural gas. Italy was going to be the #1 customer of liquefied natural gas, right? You know, liquefied natural gas. You know, what we call Bahrain and Qatar is it in liquefied natural gas. They basically supply all of Asia in this precious thing called liquefied natural gas. Make it billions out. You see Qatar, right? See how rich that country is? More money than they know what to do with. Same thing with Bahrain. That could be Nigeria right now. But, you know, corruption, you know, and short-sightedness, you know, and that's something complicated. Elvis goes, if Trump was worth billions, how come they're homeless? Look, we're not talking about homeless. We're talking about the fact that America cut off $300 million. Hey, how much? Okay, let me see. Let me get the right number. You know, let me get the right number because idiot Elvis on and whatnot. He won't
Let
come
them
up.
cut it off, though, man. Let them cut it off, man. Come on, man. They got to handle their business, man.
I know.
Oh,
Cuts to Nigeria. Cuts to Nigeria. Let's see. Okay, $200 million. Now, $200 million, right, Elvis, right, is a drop in the bucket for somebody's worth $9 billion. Dangote is supposed to be worth $12-13 billion, right? They could split it $100 million a piece. They could even not even have to get money. All they have to do is float a bond and have guarantors say, look, we'll pay the bond back, right? And you can tell the Nigerian people that we could sell you this bond at a certain interest rate that you make interest on. If we could raise the capital, you make a bit of profit off it, you know? There's many interests, but that's complicated, you know? They could have did that. They could have put the $200 million up as guarantor, had investors come in and whatnot, then sell the bonds back to Nigerians, and they would have got their money back, you know? Problem solved,
too complicated, right? Kyler. That's too complicated. That's too much work. I gotta wait too long. I gotta wait. I need fast money.
Yeah, you gotta wait. God forbid if you gotta wait five years to get your
money back. Oh man. They want it now, man. You don't know the African mind. Look
at this moron, Elvis. If a country's wealthy, president's wealthy, it doesn't mean that no. But if a country's poor, like Nigeria, right? Yeah, it does make a difference, you know? It does make a difference if the country's poor and you're worth $9 billion. You do have a responsibility, you know?
I don't understand how. You know, Kyler, you know the African, they don't understand business.
They don't understand business at all.
You know what I mean? So, you know, they just want political power and just the rule.
Now look, there's always going to be poor in this country.
Rule over people.
Yeah, poor in America is not making less than $10,000 a year. That's upper class in Africa. You know, poor in America means you still got running water, electricity, even a car payment.
Poor,
you know?
poor in America, poor in America is like $12,000 a year. That's
Yeah,
poverty.
$12,000 a year. You know,
That's poverty.
that's
Yeah,
a poverty
that's
line.
poverty.
$12,000 a year. You
In
know, try
Africa,
to
you rich, but in Africa, you're rich.
Yeah, in Africa, $12,000 a year.
Nigeria, man, you middle class. You a doctor.
You know,
That's the middle.
so let's read that stuff. They were trying to compare America with these countries. Come on.
Upper middle class if you make 12,000 in Africa a year, $1,000 a month.
Dan Gate only
middle
pays his
class.
workers. Dan Gate's workers only make $35 a month. Isn't that a shame?
$35 a month, but then if you make $1,000 a month in Africa, you middle class, you upper middle class.
I don't know if anybody makes $1,000 a month in Africa. Most Liberians told me if they could make $500 a month, they would be so.
So you think so? Basically, they telling you they can create a middle class with 500 or 1,000.
Yeah, man, that should be so freaking doable.
And that should be so doable. So that's doable. That's doable. But
Well, bottom line, but it takes work.
you got people like my boy Elvis suppressing holding everybody back, man. That's it, man.
Elvis is oppressive as people.
We want Elvis to come back home. Elvis, come back home, Elvis.
I'm starting a campaign, man. And you know something? I heard that KK drivers make good money. I could see Elvis doing that, you know? Being a KK driver. They said KK drivers make a lot of money, you know?
Yo, you trying to kill Elvis, man.
Yo, Elvis be fine doing
You really don't want Elvis to come back home now, bro.
The currency in Liberia sucks right now. You know why the currency sucks in Liberia? Because Liberia, instead of freaking strengthening its own currency like Ghana and Ivory Coast, they're using the U.S. currency here, you know? And the Lebanese is sucking all that out of the country, right? So the bottom line is it's like a big sucking thing with these Chinese, Indian, and everything. Just literally taking millions of dollars out of the economy every day. You know, Liberians, hey, native man Liberian. Like I told my driver today, he said the Chinese are in this in the hinterland destroying that redwood tree. There's some tree they want, you know. And Chinese are in protected areas like this. They're just all over the place, you know, just illegally mining sand, diamonds, everything.
Yeah.
I said, let me ask you a question. I told him, man, he's from Lofa, right? I said, knowing what you know, because he knows a lot about Black America. He knows, smart kid, right? I said, do you think this would happen if Tubman was in power? He said, no. He said, no. He goes, what I learned about Tubman when this was a black man's country, you know? Yeah, I know. But where the native man came in and said, hey, look, man, everybody, y'all come in. The bottom line is this. I think the native man in Liberia just wants to be his handheld. He really thinks the white man's trying to help him out, and the Chinese man, whatever. It's just real ridiculous. It is what it is, man. But you know,
hey, man, you gotta leave it alone, man.
You know,
man.
They can be careful what you ask for.
They ain't learn from world history, man. That's it.
Yeah. My one boy, Sam, up in Roberts, Namsla, he worked at Namsla. My guy Musa, he's a miracle Liberian, right? He was telling me it's that tree right there, Namsla, J.J. Roberts tree. You know, he said that tree is the first thing J.J. Roberts saw. Like this, you know, when he viewed Liberia, you know, it's a big tree, like must be like 40 feet thick. You ever seen that tree?
No.
It's like 40 something feet thick, man. That thing was like huge, man. He said that's what the first tree J.J. Roberts saw when he came to Liberia, you know? And so I was like, wow, man. He goes, that tree is like this. That's this cotton tree, you know? It was like really thick, man. That thing is like huge, man. Thing is like freaking huge. He said, yeah, he saw that thing from the sea. He said, oh, we got land. He saw the tree from the sea. You can see it from the sea. You know, that's why they call it Robertsport, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, dude, you know, Liberia got a lot of history, man. A lot of history.
A lot of history, a lot of stuff. Like I wrote my book, Journey to the Promised Land, just a piece of that history. I want to see more people in Liberia history write history about the country, man. So that's what Liberia is lacking. So people are able to change the narrative of the country, lie about what happened in the country, like Elvis. He wasn't even born during the Congo people, right? But he got
yo, if a Liberian not 65 years or older or in their 50s or whatever, they don't know what the fuck he talking. Come on.
I know.
I didn't live that shit. I didn't live that shit, but we heard from the older people. And he don't sound like how the older people talk. He sound like that. He sound like he getting that most of his history on Wikipedia.
American Liberians. When they say it, there was no such people called American Liberians.
No, I never heard. No, I never heard that term until the internet.
Yeah, the American Liberians. There was never such people.
Never heard that term. I never even read that term in books or encyclopedias.
Yeah, so mostly done by white racists, white supremacists.
Yep.
This mythical American Liberian that has so much American culture that they oppress the natives and all this kind of stupid stuff that never existed when instead of these just some southern black people returning to Africa trying to make the best thing they could, they turned them into these super bougie monster types that oppressed natives and did all this stuff like that. I mean, it's just freaking a bunch of bullshit, And a lot of people sit there and eat it up. Bruce, Kala, some people say African American in Ghana is 10,000. There's no 10,000 African Americans in Ghana. No. Most of the people, when you say Ghana, they talk about diasporas. They're talking about people from the Caribbean, which is a majority. Majority of people from the diaspora, from the Caribbean, other parts of Africa, living together as Pan-Africanists, whatever like that. Only a small percentage of the people in Ghana are actually Black American. Most of them come from Guyana. They come from Haiti. They come from Jamaica. They come from all over, Canada and everything like that. So they put them as African. I don't know what's that all about. Significant numbers on them are mostly Caribbeans, But as far as African Americans, no, it's not 10,000 African Americans. Probably they said estimate about 3,000 African Americans.
3,000?
About 3,000.
They should get together and build a community out.
And those people are mostly older Black people,
Yeah.
Those are older Black people,
older, like Stevie
Wonder.
Black,
in the 70s and 80s.
Oh yeah, they're old. They can't do nothing. They can't do much.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't see any young African Americans in Ghana. We got to do something. Something has to change. Where that's really Liberia is a young person's country. I think Liberia can attract younger Black people. The way it's set up, everything. It's a young man's country, man. It's a young man's country. Who are idealistic and dreamers and idealistic, man. It's a fun country for young Black men. It'd be a nice country for young Black men to come to, Ghana is mostly older people who remember Kwame Nkrumah and, what I'm saying, the 60s, the struggle and all stuff like this, I don't see Black America, young Black America going to Ghana and these other countries. They may go to Kenya. Kenya looks like it's exciting. Tanzania looks like it's exciting to a lot of people, but and not to disparage Ghana, like that. Ghana's a great country. It's been good to us. But when people say it's 10,000 African Americans in Ghana, no, it's simply not true. There's some, but not 10,000, bro. Trust me, that would be major news. It's how. When's the last time you see, Dave, a major news people? Don't you think Black people even doing tours of Africa or settling in Africa should be news?
Yeah, but bruh, it was hard for us to even get that ABC special. When they were talking about Liberia.
Who was that one that what's that guy, the white hair guy on CNN? Anderson Cooper. Yeah. He did one and whatnot, CNN and whatnot, and this about this, but it's always centered around the slave castles, Yeah. They never show you a video of mainstream video of Black people living a good life in Africa.
No, they can't do it.
Or even like Blacks Without Borders, that never debuted. Did that debut on HBO? Did it debut? I mean, when did I see that? Was that on HBO? Blacks Without Borders movie. No, it was on. I think it was on the Africa Channel. But you never see anything positive with Black America in Africa on any mainstream news network. Not even on BET.
I ain't gonna see that.
So they basically what that tells you is people do not want to promote black people in America going to Africa, you know, but yet you see white people flooding here all the time. White America. So in other words, white America, not only do they have America, but they also want Africa to themselves.
Yeah. But that's why I said, that's why I made the point earlier that more white people in America know about Liberia than black people in America.
Yeah.
They don't want you to know, Kyler, because they want to get the contracts.
That's why they always look at me like, they give me that.
They don't want you to, yeah.
What are you doing here? Look on their face, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, they don't want you to have all those connections. They trying to do that.
Well, the bottom line is they're gonna be real shocked when we start rolling out and everything like that. What you call G says, I don't believe that, caller. Look, there's young people out here, G, that are making money doing TikTok. You know what I mean? Young people, don't they understand? You got young people out here doing crypto. Dave, tell him for a minute. You got young people out there here doing e-commerce, doing big things, making lots of money. I be seeing them stacking money like, look at this, I made 100,000, 100K. There's a lot of young people that got money, man, you know? Not everybody's broke, you know, G, believe it or not.
It's just that, you know, the problem with Liberia, I got a problem with it, but the problem, they're not making the country attractive enough to me.
Yeah, they're not doing enough, you know, because like I said,
most attractive, like nobody wants to come to Liberia, and then they type in Liberia and they see the Capitol building on fire. You know, nobody wants to see a deadly clown like Yeket Koluba. Jumping on the goddamn table, coming with kung fu, coming with the black to the country.
That right there just took the cake, man. You know.
Yeah, nobody wants to see deadly clowns, like you said. Deadly clowns. Nobody feels safe.
You gotta sing scenes like this one.
I see all the madness, Kyler. I see all the madness.
You know, every time you look around, somebody's complaining about the history. Like somebody named Chenoweth did a article the other day.
Kyler, I didn't know that Talba VP was a native man.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this somebody named.
So when I found that out, Kyler, it debunked the whole bullshit about AmeriCorps is suppressed. That was bullshit. It just debunked.
It was.
That's why I get so mad when people bring up that Civil War. I get mad. I said, you know, they stole my future. That's what I tell them. You coming? I said, no, they stole my future. Even though I'm born in America, this is our future. Liberia.
Check this out. The whole thing is, why
didn't give the country to him? They should give the country to him.
Somebody named Chenoweth wrote an article the other day talk about the reason why Liberia is because it started on the wrong foot. The people who came from America treated the natives like, you know, everybody said, dude, man, why are you regurgitating this stupid lie? You know, that America, like there was an American Liberian. What about the way natives treated each other? You know, the way the Golas treated the other tribes, you know, the Mandingos treated other tribes, you know, the way the Seaside Grebels treated the Hippolyte Grebels, with all the conflict that was among the natives. That just all disappears, and everybody just blames everything on the freaking so-called American Liberians.
Tyler, you know, when you're the head and you're the number one in charge, you get all the blame. You know, regardless good or bad, you get all the blame. You know, so you know we just got to take it for a grain of salt and just and just put out the truth. You know, put out the truth. Just when I was like, when I found that out. And they go, we ain't getting no power. Now I found that out, man. I get mad when anybody bring that shit up to me.
And also, President Howard, his vice president was a native man. That was back in the early 1900s.
You know, so you know, it's just we ain't got we oppressed. Oh,
and now one of the most powerful families in Liberia was the Massaquois, you know, the Vi tribe, you know.
My grandmother married into the Cooper clan. So my grandmother, she's a Cooper. You know what I mean?
My boy Sam Cooper, right? He's a Cooper, you know. His
Oh,
father
yeah.
was SD Cooper, SD Cooper Road.
Yeah. You know they be thinking you know they be thinking I'm a founding father because of my last name, Colin. My last name Campbell. So anytime they see my idea or something, they be thinking you know, what about, like, they be thinking my ancestor founded Liberia. I be rocking with. I be like, hey man, hey, I'm a Campbell, man. If y'all say I know one of my ancestors didn't find Liberia. I'm just saying, but they be looking at me like at that high regard. Like, oh, he's a Campbell. Man. Hey,
Well, they know the deal. They know what, you know.
You know, it's a strong name out there, Campbell. You know,
I think Liberians are very cute. I think they're really cute people because they're trying to be, you know, they're following a tradition. J.J. Roberts' birthday was the other day. Everybody's celebrating.
Yeah,
J.J. Roberts' birthday.
I know that was a big old party. Beaches was
J.J. Roberts' birthday. So and people talk about, oh, the president. Why is J.J. Roberts' birthday and Tubman birthday the two biggest days out of the year? You know,
sometimes bigger than Christmas, Kyla. Tubman's birthday sometimes bigger than Christmas.
Tubman birthday, everybody gets dressed up. Everybody
gets dressed up. Barbecues is going, cookouts. People.
That's an evil Tubman, but he's the most celebrated person.
They be having dedications to him on the radio. Oh man, Tubman.
You know, because
the whole story.
When Tubman was in power, Liberia was really on top of the world almost. You know, they remember that need. You know, Liberia.
My grandmother loved Tubman, son. She said, my grandmother always tell me, Tubman, the only president that, you know, really enjoyed Liberia, who had had everything in line. My grandmother loved, that's her favorite president, Tubman. You know what I mean?
That was a man. That was a man. That's a man. Matter of fact, since we're speaking on him, I'm a few more minutes.
Tubman, man.
Check us out. Let me play something, Dave. I think you'll like this. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll like something I'm about to play, you know. Long live Tubman, you know. Split personality. All right.
Look at Principe. Look at Principe.
Principe's man.
Start building. We already building, Principe. We already building, bro.
What?
I'm waiting. You about to put a video out, right?
Today, the capital city of Monrovia, named after the 5th president of the United States, is an overcrowded city of 100,000. And like many American cities, it is waging a losing battle against downtown traffic jams. Monrovia's high society is fond of parades and elaborate funerals. In the regalia of their secret societies, like the Eastern Star of Africa, they resemble, except for color, the social elite of old Savannah. Most descend from the American settlers. They are Christian, speak English, and they are the ruling class. The majority of Liberians don't speak English. They worship tribal gods and occasionally practice ritual murder. They live in bush villages, scratch a living from the jungle, and have little to say about running the country. Liberia's constitution says it was founded to regenerate and enlighten this benighted continent. But today, it's still a country with a split personality, a black society with an integration problem.
What you see here in Liberia is purely Liberian. It is not American. It is not African. It is purely Liberian. Liberia came out of the antebellum culture of the South of 1820, which was a white culture. They become a cultural enclave surrounded by different culture with the exception of color. We sometimes think that color makes the fusion of cultures easy, and it does not. So that when you brought these two people together in Liberia, they had two absolutely different cultures. In spite of the fact everybody was rendering lip service to our colored brothers and so forth like that, the fact of it is they were two different people. And naturally there were to be frictions.
The frictions with the African tribesmen, or aborigines as the settlers called them, soon became a series of wars and uprisings. Gradually, the Americo-Liberians extended their settlements. They worked hard to create a society based on what they remembered of the old American South. But here, the Americo-Liberians were the landed gentry, and the native Africans were often treated as slaves. The first permanent building was usually a church. For the settlers, religion was not only a refuge, but a status symbol. And even today, the Liberians are fervid churchgoers.
The Bible says, even the sword of a 100-man back, when Paul threw his hand behind his back, the Bible says he felt the sword than he by the power of God. The light from the lighthouse.
Man, what's up with you?
It ain't black church. I don't know what it is.
That's a black church.
The
Liberian elite are also admirers of pomp. The Marshal of the Supreme Court receives a special allowance of $600 a year just for his uniform.
And they shall be heard. God save the Republic and this honorable court. Court takes recess until call.
In accordance with the request, the lease was negotiated, but the name of...
There's an elaborate court system based on our own. But except for serious offenses, most Liberians still live under tribal law administered by their chiefs. Nevertheless, the court dockets are overcrowded. Lawsuits are a favorite Liberian pastime.
There to live thereon for a considerable period of time.
Historically, Liberia has always been ruled by an oligarchy of a relatively few wealthy and politically potent families. But today, all the real power is in the hands of one remarkable man.
There goes my soldier boy.
William V. Shadrach Tubman, 19th President of Liberia. First elected in 1943, he had the Constitution changed so he could succeed himself. He's a Methodist lay preacher and a superb politician. At age 74, he's still considered something of a swinger.
So firm and strong, they've made a name in history, and that's why I'm so proud to see that my own boys marching there.
Like most politicians, the president likes to picture himself as a small-town boy. But his roots are deep in the Americo-Liberian establishment. His father's side of the family came from Atlanta, and his mother from Augusta, Georgia.
What do you say, Dave?
I said you ain't gonna see no potato salad in Nigeria.
I know.
When the president attends a party, the menu usually includes barbecued pork, fried chicken, hot biscuits, and rice with red gravy. A selection that would make even Lester Maddox feel right at home. Because of Tubman's absolute power, the game of making points with the president is one of the most profitable occupations in Liberia. The president once served in the army, and the song Old Soldiers Never Die has become a sort of personal anthem.
Yeah, you got this idiot Lil Johnny.
This is Democracy Now!
American Indians. He goes, American Indian soul food. It's like I said, identity crisis, man. But this is proof, right? The fact that you got the black community in Suriname, and you got Liberia and all these other places like that, showed you that there is an African American culture. It's black. It's not native. It's not American Indian. You know, soul food comes from African Americans, African struggle.
He had what he had over there. He had fried chicken, barbecue, ribs, gravy,
biscuits, hot biscuits, and whatnot.
I saw the biscuits.
That is Black America, man. You know, there ain't not a damn difference, man. Not a damn difference.
And see, people, yo, Colin, thank you for bringing up this video. People need to see this. And even Liberians need to see this. You know, that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
But the reason why a lot of Liberians don't promote their country, because they know basically they want to give credit to our ancestors. They would rather, these people, this is how sick these people are. They rather have Liberia be forgotten in history than to fucking elevate Liberia, because they hate our ancestors so much. They really do. People like Elvis really loathe our ancestors, right? And he hates the fact that we praise our ancestors who built Liberia. Those are our ancestors. Yeah, they are my ancestors. They come from my culture. They come from my heritage, my struggle, and they went to Liberia. You know, that is part of Black America. You know, Liberia is another extension. Black America doesn't end with the shores of America. It extends in Africa, it extends in the Caribbean.
But Kala, like I said before, and I said that to Dollar Bill too, we have the influence over there, man. They're still eating cornbread today in Liberia.
Of course.
So the influence is still there.
Everything is still there. The bottom line is, like I said, Liberia basically is just nothing but Black America mixed with African culture, you know? Mixed with a little bit of African, with the cassava grains, you know, and rice. And the pepper, you know, it's a blend of all the cultures, man.
It's a fusion. It's a fusion African culture.
It's a fusion of African culture, you know. So people, like I said, actually, this is a perfect place for somebody to start off if they want to start off in Africa. This is a place I recommend, you know. Principally said, Desmond, what do the Haitians eat besides mud cookies, you know? You know, definitely. What the Haitians eat about it? So everybody always get all health conscious on us. When we start talking about our food, everybody, definitely. But what is Chinese food? What's Italian food? Italian food, Chinese, nothing but Italian soul food, you know?
And Kala, another thing I peeped in the video, right? It said that the native chiefs was controlling those regions. So even listen, even if you was in Monrovia and you want to build the hinterlands, you can't do nothing unless the chiefs say so.
Yeah, the chiefs still had power, you know.
You can't do nothing. So even if you want to build a factory or build,
they came to Monrovia, Buchanan for freedom, for liberty, you know.
And a lot of chiefs, I read too, a lot of chiefs, you know, they was intimidated by the Americoids because you know Africans are very superstitious, you know.
Yeah.
If you're coming from America, you got guns, you got all this technology, and you put up a 3-story building, they're gonna say you doing witchcraft or some shit, you know. You doing You know you waking too fast, you know, and then you put the chief out of business. You know what I mean? So a lot of chiefs they were scared. They were scared for the development to come in the hinterlands because now they'll, you know what I'm saying, man, fuck the chief, man. We put this guy here.
That's exactly what was happening. People, they started when
so a lot of chiefs sabotaged the development for years and decades.
Yeah, because they want to hold on to power.
Yeah, they want to hold on to power. So that's what I read too, in a lot, you know, in Liberian history. A lot of chiefs will step on the shit. Sometimes you want to build something there, your caterpillar, steal the tires off the shit. You know what I mean? The engineer gets sick. So, yeah, all type of bullshit. So because they want to maintain power. That's what it all was, you know.
They wanted to control over their people, you know.
Yeah, control over I need control of my region and my people. No. You don't want to expose my people to this because I expose my people to this.
We said they need people free.
Yeah, these people are gonna be thinking for themselves. You know, they're not gonna speak. You know, so they know. Even if you wanted to do something over there, those guys are gonna step on you, man. Those chiefs, man.
Well, Dave, are you gonna make it here, bro?
I'm trying, Colin, man. They not letting me get out of this data center. You know, I was in Liberia in October, so
okay.
I'm trying to get out.
Don't worry, man. It's all good, though, man. You know,
yeah, I'm trying to get out of here, man. But these guys,
it's all good. It's all good. I still love you, kid. But,
yeah, I want me and my father to try to come on that tour. So I'm gonna talk to you.
All right, good. What you gotta do is this. See my email up there?
Yeah, I'm gonna email you. I'm gonna
email me your name and phone number. You know, so I forward it to Bomani.
Okay. All right.
He's the one putting the tour together. This is gonna be the tour of tours.
Yeah, man. You know, I want to get my father out the house. I want to be, you know, let him, you know, come out. You know.
We went to Wakoko Lodge in what you call it in Robertsport. That shit was nice, man. You know.
Yeah.
It's like the same people own
Liberia is beautiful. Liberia is beautiful.
That blows Lubasa out the door, man. You know, that's the same thing with Lubasa, but you get more room. The bungalow, they give you more. And then outside we had this big screen TV that's outside in the little pit, right, with the sand pit. We have your little hammocks that we'll sit laying down on, you know, the hammocks, the flat hammocks, whatever. And we're sitting out there watching movie. Watch that movie, Bad Boys 4. We're watching that, went on a big screen outside, it was like, oh, so therapeutic, you know. It was so therapeutic, bro, you know. But yeah, so this is gonna be a tour, man. Tour with tours, man. This is gonna be a tour. We're gonna have so much fun on this tour. It's gonna be unreal, you know. Yeah, so try to make it a tour, man. You know, try to make that tour, bro. You know.
Bro.
Just send me an email. Send me an email with your phone number and everything like that.
Yeah, I want my father to go on it. I'm gonna get my father to go on it.
When's the last time your father been in Liberia?
My father never been to Africa, Colin. My father never.
Oh man, get him. Go. Let him go on this tour.
I gotta get him on this tour. That's why I said I gotta get him on this tour. I gotta get him on this tour.
Get him on tour because we do
always wanted to see Africa. He always wanted to see. I gotta get him on this tour.
Yeah, just what you call it? You get more of this tour.
At least let me, try to give a deposit of $500, or just be paying it until y'all ready.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, just give your initial deposit to money, $500, and then you got a whole up to a year. Don't worry. To the end of the year to get the rest.
Yeah, I had it up there. I had that for him. Don't worry. I just want. I'm gonna take the email. I'm gonna put my name and everything down. So, yeah.
All right. Anyway, else what you call send the link. Okay, David. I guess David wants to.
No, I'm gonna email you tonight. I'm gonna email you. Get off.
Right. Okay. Email me. When
my email. Just look out for my email is on Focus. So just look out for Focus. Yeah.
That's the name of my company too, Focus Development,
Yeah,
so we got the same thing in common.
Yeah, so I'm the little homie, man. I'm always the little homie. So yeah, we gotta get Liberia back on the map. Somebody coming up? Somebody else coming up?
Brother Hit.
Oh, David Hit?
Yeah.
Captain Hit?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where dollar bills been at, man. You know,
Yeah, the dollar bill, dollar bill, he probably on his hiatus. He probably cheating the kids.
yeah, probably. I hope so.
Yes, sir.
Hey, what's going on, brother? Hit. What's on your mind, brother?
Captain
How you,
Hit,
gu-
how
how
you
you guys
doing?
doing?
Good evening.
Just
Good evening, Captain Hit.
calling
Evening,
in to
Cap.
say hello, see how you guys are doing.
Oh yeah, I'm
Good
over in
evening, Cap.
Liberia right now, so just checking
Yes,
out
good
things
evening,
for
sir.
the
Good
tour
evening,
next year.
sir.
Good
Yeah, I'm
evening,
doing
Cap.
good, brother. Hit. I'm in Liberia right now, just checking on stuff going out for next year's tour. Just
Oh,
making.
you're in Liberia right this second.
Yeah, I'm in Liberia right now. Yeah,
Okay, great, man. So how are you? You having a good time?
I'm having a great time, man. Learning more about the history and stuff like that, how our ancestors settled this country and everything like that. It's just amazing, More and more
Good.
black
Where are you
people.
staying at?
Right now, I'm staying at my friend's place. He has a villa, but I got an apartment, a house, now, but I'm waiting to move in because they're not done renovating it.
Okay.
So, so, so it's all good though. Like I said, you got a lot of Black African Americans here right now.
Yeah,
Cynthia
sure.
Nash Blanford, she head of International Focus magazine. I'm supposed to be doing an interview with her and her husband Val Thomas, and be a featured article. Right? She was the one who was
Okay.
with Bob Johnson and got Bob Johnson Delta flights to Liberia, like back 14 years ago, back 2010. And also,
Okay.
here now, our office, International Focus Manager, I was there the other day. They have an office. She has a consulting business. She does all kinds of people who want to do business in West Africa. So, office right here in Monrovia. So just making these connections and whatnot. Connections and whatnot.
Absolutely.
So basically, all this will come together in the future. And more
Absolutely. That's good,
what
man.
I'm trying to do. My end game. Nationhood is my end game.
Of course, no. How look, bro. I haven't been on the show in a while, but I've been straight Shaolin Temple, bro. So I'm in chamber number 10 right now.
I heard, yeah,
I'm
the
trying to get
Bomani said he
chamber
talked to
number-
you. You and Bomani talk. Okay,
Yeah, but
no.
Bonnie and I had a nice conversation. Yeah, we had a really good conversation.
Yeah, so yeah, he was telling me,
Yeah.
that's good though. So
Yeah, so yeah, we had really nice conversation. So it was good to go. Yeah, man, I just been straight up in the temple, man. Straight up, just really focused on learning a lot of new things. Just keeping focused on this goal, man. There's a lot. I've been doing a lot of stuff on this AI stuff. Been learning a lot about this DeFi, all of these all of these different exchanges, distributed exchanges and stuff like that, learning how to create our own coins and doing all that type of stuff. So there's a lot of things like on the back end, like what are we going to do for money? And so what do we do? And so there are different technologies out there right now that will enable us to be able to put our own money into an asset or an online asset, one in which people can easily make money for. Think of it almost like a staking is like a bank account, but you can make a way better return. And so I'm learning all the ins and outs of how to do this and how to create this and how to create this DeFi stuff. And more importantly, nobody can get to it. So meaning that with a lot of the crypto, especially if you have a hardware wallet or something like that, nobody can take your shit from you. And and you have that autonomy. So I've been, like I said, I'm in chamber number 10, 36 chambers, bro. That's how it is in Shaolin. So I got a long way to go, but I'm getting it done. I'm definitely getting it done. So on the focus and got my push-ups in today. So knocked out my 100 push-ups, knocked out my 150 abs. That's it. So
I've been doing 100 abs, but I haven't done this since I've been on the show. I have no carpet. So I've been.
So you do it on the floor. You don't need no carpet. You get on the floor, bro. I forgot you may be. I'm
military man.
Yeah, I'm one of these. I'm one of these OGs, hard Negro. So I could get on the ground. That's a concrete ground. I'll knock out them abs. Yeah, knock out them abs. But
I'll try that tomorrow. I'll see how it works.
But it's Ramadan too. It's Ramadan now, so I'm just trying. I'm trying to maintain. So Ramadan's going okay, brother. It's a nice break to get off that food and really and just it gives you it's a good. It's
Yeah,
really,
my landlord's on Ramadan right now. She can't talk.
Alhamdulillah, all praises.
I was wondering why she's a Muslim. She spent time in America, right? She basically like a Liberian lady, Congo background. She spent time in America. She said she moved to Jamaica, Queens, and then she graduated from Walden University. That's upstate New York. That's where I grew up. Walden.
Okay.
Area. And so she got a degree up there, but she got a nice property. Her family had money back in the day. She has like 4 or 5 properties here. So I'm renting like one of them, I just got the place renovated and whatnot. Hopefully it'll be ready by tomorrow so I could move in, and everything like that. So, so when I come here to Liberia, I can stay longer. Now, next thing I need is a car. I got to figure that out, how to get a car over here, without them, I got a car. Once I have a car in here, man, it's like it's ball game, That's what be killing you, like the hotel rent and the transportation.
Transport, the living and
really you can't buy a car there or what? Don't they have dealerships there?
Buy a car, but like people would tell me, these cars, I mean, they're all right, man. But you know how America, every 3,000 miles, you change a car, oil. It's hard to find a car that you're gonna be. Unless you go pay like $500. Okay, the last 4 months, fine, But if you really want a car, it's gonna take money or not, it's better to import the car from the United States or whatever, And car in America, in Liberia, they said, what for resale, Dave, how is it?
I gotta connect with somebody for a car though, if you want one. I got one of my mechanic friends, he's a mechanic in Europe. He shipped the cars from Europe though. It's cheaper logistically. So
I mean, I would, if you get something like a something with all-wheel drive, I would be looking at like a Toyota.
Toyotas.
A lot of Toyota SUVs here. That's the most popular.
Yeah. Toyota SUV, man. I mean, Toyota's the engines. See, Toyota designed their engines because they knew people weren't going to change the oil. So, they can go 10,000 miles without an oil change. They overbuilt their engines. That's the way to go. So, but if you ship the car from here, I would say any Toyota SUV or even a Nissan SUV, you ship one of those from the States over there, just get a hoopty, man. That's all you need, man. When I was in the Virgin Islands, I bought it when I was in the Virgin Islands. I bought a hoopty because you can't drive nothing. You're 45-degree angle hills and people sliding all over, crashing all the time.
I was set up for a hoopty if they let me import it.
Yeah, I mean, they gotta I'm sure there's got to be a.
I seen a Nigerian guy today with a friggin' like a 1975 Mercedes, and my driver was like, "See, like Nigeria." I said, "Yeah, I know. Back in the 60s and 70s, all they bought was Mercedes."
Yeah,
I see a Nigerian guy. It was all cleaned up and everything. It was like shining yellow. And I said, "Man," that's a Nigerian. He probably had that thing since since like the early 70s and whatnot, So he got a car. I said, I guess you can bring older cars.
Yeah. Sure, you can choose. I mean, they got. I'm just looking real quick online. They have some roll-on, roll-off shipping, or put it in a container or something like that. Maybe you can put something.
Yeah, shipping container. That's how people do it. Like they put it in a container. And they end up in Freeport. You gotta get your stuff off.
But I mean, I would go down to that. I would go down to the to the port down there, and just meet up with who you got to meet up with, and then figure out who you got to pay off there too.
Oh yeah, you got definitely got to grease some palms just to get in.
Oh no, there ain't no doubt about that. People gonna be like, "Yo,
that's things working out."
Captain Hick know the system. He know the system.
Come on, man. Come on, bro. You look. That's why I'm gonna go. I want to be away from them natives and go get our own land because I know exactly how it is. Yep, you're gonna go down there. Okay, come on, man. Yeah, that's it. So that's 2 G's right there. I'm telling you that right now. You better have $2,000 to $3,000 ready to go. I'm telling you that right now. You better have 2 to 3 G's, and that's just to pay people. Okay. And hopefully they will give you, and that will cover, all the way up through registration. You need to find somebody who can do it. And that's the way I would do it. Just find whoever it is. Man, I'm telling you, it's going to be 2 to 3 G's. Yep. And then on top of the cost, then on top of the cost of now putting it in a container and shipping it over. So you might as well bring a couple of cars. You might as well bring a couple of vehicles over.
I ship the car out. I ship the car out before. It depends on the size. It depends on the size.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know the size of the engine.
And, I shipped out something small out there. It was like for the duty, like to free it at the port, it cost me $2,000.
Yeah, there you go.
And to ship it, it cost me $1,500.
Yeah, exactly.
So like you said, like you just said, 3,000, 3,500, 4,000.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? For everything.
Yeah, there you go. In fact, I'm just looking at it right now.
Yeah, the 2,000 was the, like you just said, pay them off. You know, pay them off. You know, when you
don't got no drama. Yeah, your local as they call it, your local charges.
Local, yeah. Bro.
Yeah, your local charge for one damn vehicle too. And what kills you is that also, like I said, on the size of the engine. See, the way they play it is, if it's a 1 liter, if it's a 1.5 or 2 liter engine, you know, so they, you know, it's like, come on, dude. It's like just.
And it depends on certain African countries too. Guinea, they don't give you a hard time out there like Guinea. Certain African.
Okay.
Depend on what country you're dealing with, and it depends on the ports. You know, like the best port right now in West Africa, I think it's the Togo port. Because
is it really?
Yeah, they the most efficient port because, and you know, like the prices and everything is the Togo port, and they just built that port. Yeah, they just built.
That's good to know.
Togo. Yeah, in Togo.
That's good to know.
So you know, and then like, cause I think Togo got like, you know, cause they supply like the landlocked countries, like, you know, Niger, Mali.
Yeah.
So their port is really active, and is low on prices. So the Togo port, I hear, is the best port in West Africa right now for like prices and everything, goods.
Oh, really? Good to know. Good to know.
So look that up too. And I'm just, you know, a lot of
one
of my friends, like I said, in the college said he wanted a car. Like I said, he lives in UK, and he ships the cars because, like, in Liberia, they was giving him a hard time. You know, he's shipping out 15 cars at one time, 10 cars. So what he did was, he had a connection in Guinea. He'll ship it to Guinea, and what they'll do, they'll put it on the car loaders. I mean, those 18-wheelers where you load up the cars and they just drive it in. They drive it in through the border, and they got an immigration guy there, you know, grease his palms, get a command or something, and let it go on through. That's it.
Yeah. That's
it. That's come in the country. That's why. That's what he does. You understand me? So
I like that. That's a good move right there.
So when he's selling the car, it's not an exorbitant price. You know what I mean?
Now that's a good move right there. I like that. Yeah. So you go there. 18-wheeler, you got your connect at the border, give him his kibbles, and then you give him his kibbles, and then we move on.
Yeah.
Because these dudes, man, that's it. You know.
Yeah, you know.
Proof of ownership, bill of sales, registration, insurance, and them motherfuckers don't even got a goddamn printer to print that out themselves. Yeah. So, man. But the car. I mean, I tell you this also. Probably have you seen call it the like any businesses that are like in like an oil change business, a maintenance business? That must do very well.
I'll tell you one thing. Well, I will give Liberia one thing. They probably got the best mechanics in the world. Why? Because they'll take a car. Cars don't go to waste over here. They'll find a way how to fix these motherfuckers for some reason. You know. Car is a lifeline. In America, you have one thing wrong, you go to the junkyard. I'm getting a new car.
I don't know, Kyla. I don't know. I seen some mechanics in Nigeria, man. These guys, man. These guys,
Africa in general, man. They be people. These people know how to take cars apart.
I got a friend in Nigeria, right? I got a friend in Nigeria. You know what this guy does? He got a connection in China with newer body parts, like the body parts for cars, like, right? So what he does is, right, he'll take a 2010 or 2015, well, let's say a 2012 Mercedes, and put a body kit on it from China, repaint it, and sell it. Like he'll turn like a regular Mercedes Benz into an AMG, just by shipping parts from and sell it more. So what he does is he'll get cars like old cars from America, 2010 salvage cars, order a body kit from China, and upgrade the car until like he'll turn like a 2012 Mercedes G-Wagon into a 2024 G-Wagon. You know what I mean? Like just with the body kit, and you won't even know. You won't even know. You won't even know until you open the hood, or you really start doing invest. Then you go, oh, this guy, But this guy is a mastermind, and I see some of his work, man. This guy's crazy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I started looking. Yeah, man. If you go with a Nissan, I'm looking at. There's like some used car center in Monrovia, and it's I don't know how. I mean, these are pictures from 4 years ago, but I see a lot of Toyotas, Nissan. You get those,
Audi,
whatever they're driving there.
Audi, a lot of nice brand new dealerships in Syncor. Syncor, you got those showrooms, BMW, Mercedes. Yeah, Liberia got
whatever you find over there, whatever's like over there, that's the car to get, because then they have the parts there. Like in the Virgin Islands, it was like if you need to buy a Jeep or a Ford Escape. Those are the two. If you get one of those two, something breaks down, then you got parts there. So that's one of the things too. Just drive whatever the locals are driving.
Nah, Nissan parts are easy to find. Nissan and Toyota parts are easy to find over there.
Nissan and Toyota are easy to find.
There's so many auto parts stores in this country. It's unreal. And they said they're probably Nigeria. Why is Nigeria always got to, David here? Why is Nigeria always got to basically go around, make it seem like everybody that's successful? I guess you're a Nigerian, David. Everybody's a Nigerian. He says the mechanics I'm talking about in Liberia have to be Nigerian. No, they're Liberians. I know Liberians, bro.
They're Liberians. I was talking about the mechanics. I was talking about mechanics in Nigeria when I went to.
But he said he thinks the ones in Liberia are actually Nigerians. That's what they do.
No.
They come to America. Anytime they see black success in America, black community, those are Nigerians over there. They always want to steal everybody's shine and whatnot. They're Nigerians.
A lot of the mechanics, they Mandango. A lot of the mechanics, they're different tribes. They're Liberians. They're from different tribes.
Yeah, man. But brother, so you figure you're gonna need like $3,500, man.
Yeah.
Just to get something. That's $3,500 are gonna have to come out your pocket for transportation on the ship and the grease palms. So there you go. That's it.
Yeah, once I get that process, it's gonna cost me a pay. That's probably the next most expensive thing I'm gonna do.
Yeah. And I would find the dude. I would just go down to that. I'd find out who's the guy that brings that, who authorizes those cars, and work out the deal with him directly. That's it. Right. So come on, what do I got to pay you?
That's what we do. I'll probably buy from somebody who's imports. Get a good deal on something import. You
can get a local importer. That's find one local. You go.
I look at cars, right? I can tell a car was good. You look at the back, the tailpipe, you see white smoke, walk away.
Hell yeah. Come on. I would be proud. I think it would be a peace of mind if you brought it yourself over. If you brought it yourself.
I know. If I can afford it, if I can afford the shipment and getting it through Freeport and actually getting it, I would do that, Depending on how much,
Yeah. Because you definitely can find a half decent car over here. Just go on cars.
Oh, yeah, I know that. I know. Yeah, I used to get cars from that place in Fort Dix, New Jersey. A wholesale place. I used to sell cars.
Yeah, there you go.
That wholesale place in Fort Dix, New Jersey. You buy cars, drive them down to Virginia, sell them on our car lot. We had, we did good.
You'd do an SUV, right?
Probably I wouldn't like that. I would actually
SUV, Carla. You got to do an SUV, man.
Yeah.
I like that FUV, but I would rather have a pickup truck, you know, a 4-seat pickup
Yeah,
truck.
yo, that's even better. That's even
Yeah.
better. Tyler.
Yeah, there
That's
you go.
even better. That's even better.
4-seat pickup truck. That'd be the best bet.
Yeah, that's even better, bro.
So
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Go house some way. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna do it. You know, I'm gonna do it. So anyway, fellas, it's late. It's late over here. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, man.
Oh, wow.
Tyler,
Oh,
good
man,
night,
that's
yeah,
right.
It's 4.
That's right.
Yeah.
4 over here. It's
Like
late. It's early. You
4
guys.
hours
It was
ahead
like,
of us. 4 hours
it was
ahead.
like, it was like, what time is it over there?
It's like I'm 12.
No,
11.
it's midnight. Yo, man,
It's
make
12,
sure you put your off on, bro. Get your mosquito spray, man. Don't be playing.
Oh, look, bro, I got my
Yeah, he got his tablets, he got his everything. Huh?
Yeah, I got my tablet. I'm taking this shit every day, man.
You taking your tetracycline?
Yeah,
Tetracycline?
whatever it's called, whatever it's called, man. It's
Yeah.
malaria, typhoid.
Yeah,
stuff.
that's right. Take that, get that off on you. Be putting that whatever the natural.
I should have brought my
one.
mosquito spray. I freaking left.
No,
it.
you should have brought. Come on, bro. You slipping, man. That's like number one. Look, as a military man, I ain't going in no jungle if I don't got my bug juice. Okay, that's number one. Numero uno. Because
But lucky
gotta have-
it hasn't been that hot here.
No,
It's
and it's not the
like
season though, Captain Hick. It's not the season. When it comes
I
raining,
know what you're saying, and I would be
Well,
also. Do you have that mosquito net over your bed?
I did at the Wakala Lodge. We had a mosquito. net.
if you got the AC on, it kills them.
We got the AC on. You know,
AC
so-
goes on.
Yeah, okay. I used to, and even when I was over like in whatchamacallit, in the Virgin Islands, I had all them bug lights around. You know, the battery, them bug lights. No, man, you know you can't be playing, man, over there. Them mosquitoes that's for real over there.
Yeah, those guys are vicious over there.
No, it's for real.
No, but it's
That's
not
right.
the season though, Captain Higgins. It's about to be raining season.
Yeah, I'll be out of here before rainy
rain.
season starts. I'm out of here next week.
They really come out in the rainy season.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
last year I stayed all the way through the 19th of April.
No, that's when the newborns are coming out.
Yeah, man. No, look, trust me. And also I used to carry that little tennis racket with the electric tennis racket. when I was in the Virgin Islands.
the zapper.
The zap, yeah. I'd be bro. That thing would be popping off. Come on, hundreds, bro. Yep, hundreds.
For some reason, you don't see a lot of mosquitoes here in Liberia. For some reason.
Yeah, right now you don't.
Right now.
Yeah, when you
drive
away from those places. Don't play over there, man. You got to stay on. That's one thing I learned. I mean, when I was, from jungle warfare training and stuff, you got to be on top of your game because that mosquito will take you out.
Yo, Cap, that's crazy. It's the smallest. It don't even be the big animals and shit.
Check this out. They had this game somewhere around Red Light. They have this shop, right? It has this big statue of a mosquito looking menacing on the roof. So it's like I guess it's talking about mosquito pests, whatever like that. And it had a mosquito with this big long thing sticking out. It looks best, like 5 feet wide and whatnot. It's like a giant mosquito. The thing looked freaking. It shows you this like this. It looked menacing as hell, man. It's like freaking huge and scary.
It is
so funny, man.
No, man. Dengue and malaria are no joke, bro. That's no joke. Dengue or malaria, man. No, man, you out. That thing will knock you. It'll take you out for real, bro.
Kyle, back in the day, they ain't really had that problem in Liberia. They had a mosquito control unit. So they used to, when the Congo people was in power, they used to, they had the mosquito control. You used to spray
it was more organized, more civilized.
Cut the grass. They used to cut the grass and spray the spot at night.
More civilized. Yeah,
but the
country was civilized.
Off for you because I know this. I'll be coming over there with 3 cans of it, and I come in with the deep one too. I'll be making sure I got the right one, bro. Okay,
we're gonna do that for this tour next year, David, brother Hit. I checked out the place, man. You got to see this place. It's right in the jungle, your area. It's a lot. The one we place. Oh my God, this place is beautiful.
Yeah,
you get your own house, like a little tiny house, right? It has upstairs and downstairs. Upstairs you got 3 beds. Downstairs, like and you got a patio. You walk outside, or you're right there on the ocean. You know, that's what color a lodge. You know,
gotta check this out for sure, bro.
Nice, man. This tour is gonna be off the chain. There's a 1 or 4 places there. Labasa owned by the same people. That's where we started the tour off. Then we go to Robertsport for that one. It's the same place, but this one's way better. The same people own Labasa owns this one, you know, and it's really nice tourism. You know, you can do Labasa, you do ecotourism, walk through the park and everything, watch the nature reserve and everything. Like it's just bringing off the chain. They got swimming pool and everything like that. You know, the sliding swimming pool and all that. You know, really nice, man. You know, really nice. You know, got the big screen TV outside, screen projector outside. We watching movies and whatnot on with the you know the hammocks that you sit on. You know, like the
that's cool, man.
Yeah, we'll sit there and have drinks and watch the movie and whatnot outside. We were watching Bad Boys 4. You know, that shit was off the chain. Just sitting there, the ocean in the background. We're just sitting there watching a movie on a big screen outside, man. It was just so therapeutic, man. It's so relaxing, man. It's, you know, just being on the continent, man, just freaking great, man. It's just
yeah, I got you, brother. I got you.
Anyway, bro, I gotta go. It's like 4
All right,
o'clock.
man. Go ahead, sir. All right.
Talk to y'all later, Dave.
Man, good night, man. Good
Thank you
night.
for letting us in. Yeah, good night, sir.
Both Daves. Both Daves.
Yeah.
Dave.
All right, man. Later.
All right. Take care, gentlemen. All right. Have a good evening.